The union minister calling out Sitharaman's ignorance. She said that women have traditionally voted for Telangana chief minister.
పోతే ఏ కారణం వల్ల పెట్టుకోలేదో తెలియదు, మహిళలకు న్యాయం చేయలే. సరే, ఇవన్నీ ఉంది. తెలంగాణలో న్యాయం చేయలే. ఇంత సెంటిమెంట్ ఉంది, జనం మీకు పూర్తిగా సమర్థన ఇచ్చినాక కూడా మీరు ఏం చేయలేకపోయారు. ఇప్పుడు భారత రాష్ట్ర సమితి ఏ న్యాయం వస్తుంది దీంట్లో? ముందుగా రాష్ట్ర అనేది సంస్కృతలో నేషనల్ లెవెల్ టీకే, బట్ స్టేట్ తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్ర సమితి అనేది ఇప్పుడు భారత రాష్ట్ర సమితి అయింది, భారత జాతీయ సమితి కాదు. తెలుగు తెలంగాణతోటి తెలుగు కూడా వదిలేసి సంస్కృత పేరు తీసుకుంటామని తీసుకున్నారు. ఇవన్నీ చూస్తే సెక్రటేరియట్కి వెళ్ళిన చీఫ్ మినిస్టర్ ఒక న్యూమరాలజీ, తంత్రం, మంత్రం ఇవన్నిటిని ఎవరో అడ్వైస్ చేసి ఆ సెక్రటేరియట్కి వెళ్తే మీకు మంచిది కాదని చెప్పడం వల్ల ఆ ఉన్న సెక్రటేరియట్కి వెళ్లకుండా కొత్త సెక్రటేరియట్ అయినా కట్టుకుంటాను కానీ పాత సెక్రటేరియట్కి వెళ్ళను అని మొత్తానికి తెలంగాణ ప్రజలు ఒక రకమైన పరిస్థితిలో ఉన్నారు. వాళ్ళు కష్టాల్లో ఉన్నారు. ఇట్లాగా తాంత్రిక్, న్యూమరాలజీ దీన్ని పెట్టుకుని సెక్రటేరియట్కి వెళ్ళను, ప్రజలకు అందుబాటులో ఉండను, కొత్త పార్టీ పెడతాను, తెలుగుని మర్చిపోతాను, తెలంగాణని మర్చిపోతాను అనే రకంగా ఉన్నటువంటి టీఆర్ఎస్ దేశానికి ఎంత మంచి చేస్తారు అనేది అనుమానాస్పదంగా ఉంది.
Honorable Nirmala Sitharamanji's statement earlier today that Honorable CM KCR ji stopped going to the secretariat based on the advice of tantrics and has resorted to renaming TRS into BRS doesn't seem to be have made in a good taste. Well, the people of Telangana do understand the mental instability of Bharatiya Janata Party Telangana State Unit President Mr. Bandi Sanjay, who usually indulges in issuing these sort of moronic and ridiculous statements whenever there are elections right around the corner. But the Union Finance Minister, towing the same line and echoing what their State Unit President said, seems to be a conspiracy that meets larger than the eye. It seems to be a hatched conspiracy, a strategy that has been adopted by the Bharatiya Janata Party to divert people's attention from two issues. Number one, the recently launched Bharat Rashtra Samiti by Honorable CM KCR ji seems to be making a lot of noise. It seems to be sending a lot of waves across the nation, and people started talking about the successful vibrant Telangana model as an alternative to the Golmaal Gujarat model, which the Bharatiya Janata Party obviously doesn't want to happen. And number two, to divert people's attention from the Munugodu bypoll in Telangana, which has been necessitated because the Bharatiya Janata Party's candidate, yesterday he confessed right in front of the media that his firm was awarded a contract worth rupees 18,000 crores. So the Bharatiya Janata Party doesn't want people to talk about these real issues.
We're slipping to a break, but when we return, we're bringing you all about the Indian ancestral threats at the Milan Fashion Week. Details and moments from now.
You are watching India Today.
The COVID-19 pandemic has forced us to do a rethink on how we lead our lives, to think about what we are doing to our bodies and to our health, and also wellness, because it is time now to go back to the basics. It is time to talk about your food, your sleep habits, your gut health, stress, and much more. And that exactly is what our brand new health show, Health Free.
The largest producer of mustard in the world is facing a heat wave. We're talking about Canada. The delicious Dijon mustard is France's favorite condiment. A heat wave across the ocean in Canada has caused a drastic shortage. The shortage is evident in France. Canada supplies 80% of the mustard seeds to France. Because of the drought, the Canadian harvest became half in 2021. This has propelled France to grow their own crop. Remember, Europe is battling a fuel crisis and a power crisis post the Russia-Ukraine war. Mustard seeds have become more attractive after a drop in the prices of grains and oil seeds. Jérôme Garbes, a mustard expert, said that 15,000 tons of mustard seeds should be produced, meeting 40% of the requirement. Luc Vandermeysen, president of the Burgundy Mustard Association, said that store shelves should be replenished in October. He also said the shortage will be completely over in early 2023. We're very confident for Christmas. Being an agrarian economy, India produces its own mustard. Rajasthan is the largest mustard producing state in the country, therefore it's never going to be a problem for India.
You are watching India Today.
And Indian ancestral threads made weaves more than waves in Milan. Here is a special report that showcases how Indian workmanship was showcased internationally. Here's my report. Take a look.
The Milan Fashion Week wound up in Italy. Right from Bottega Veneta to Fendi, Alberta Ferretti, Prada, Roberto Cavalli, Versace and many big behemoths showcase their latest collection. And what a star-studded fashion week it was. Right from Kim to Khloe Kardashian, Ashley Graham and Bella Hadid, the fashion regulars were all there. For India though, it was a moment of pride. Designer Vaishali Shadangule presented her collection titled Ancestral Threads. Vaishali has been consistently putting Indian weaves on the global map. Her show at the Paris Haute Couture Week to the latest one in Milan, it's all been about Indian weaves. The collection consistently aims to highlight handmade work by our Indian artisans. The stellar workmanship, which is so intricate that it is almost tough to believe it is all indeed handmade. The Pret-a-Porter collection showcased at Milan was wearable and featured an array of silks from West Bengal, Maheshwari cotton, cotton from Karnataka and Kota Doria.
I use cording technique to give shape to these beautiful weaves. And cording technique is also very conscious decision. When I was making cords, I've realized this is zero waste.
Her signature cording method looked innovative. In fact, this collection also reflected deeply on the designer's love for nature. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
It's a wrap from me on this bulletin. For further news and updates, don't forget to log on to indiatoday.in or download our app.
You are watching India Today.
The COVID-19 pandemic has forced us to reassess what we are doing with our physical health and our mental health. Many of us have started to do things for ourselves, for our health, things that we would not before the pandemic. In that sense, the COVID-19 pandemic has been an eye-opener. And to help you get back to the basics, we've put together Health 360 for our viewers. Welcome to India Today's brand new health show. I'm Sneha Mordani. Today our conversation is going to be about food. What's going wrong with our food habits? Why exactly are we eating out of packets? And why is the food that we eat from packets called junk? Why is this type of food pushing India towards another epidemic? This is an epidemic of lifestyle diseases. Well, have you ever thought about the food value of what you eat from a packet? When you pick that bag of chips to go with the bland ghar ka khana, or before you polish off a nutrition bar, what is the nutrition that it is really offering you? The chocolate that you eat to kill hunger pangs between lunch and dinner, and that packaged meal, a ready-to-eat kadhi chawal that you have just microwaved. None of the foods, if you can even for a moment call it food, have any nutritional value. Far from it, these foods, ultra-processed, laden with preservatives, sugar, salt and fats, not the good kind, could lead to a host of diseases. They only fill your stomach up, but do nothing for your health. First, let us identify these processed foods. Breakfast cereals, cheese, tinned vegetables, bread, savory snacks such as crisps, sausage rolls, pies and pasties, meat products such as bacon, sausage, ham, salami and pate. Microwaved meals or ready-to-eat meals, cakes and biscuits and soft drinks. Anything that has not been cooked at home has a long shelf life, is actually laden with preservatives that prolong the life of the food and cut short yours. That is the ideal definition of a processed food. You put out a pack of biscuits, it will survive for months together, it won't go bad. How does that really happen? Now it has ingredients that will ensure its shelf life. Those very ingredients are bad for you. In fact, a quick breakfast for many would involve one or more of these processed foods that I just told you about. But nutritionally, they add zero value. Instead, a homemade ghee-laden paratha is actually much healthier. Ghee is good for you. Though ghee is rich in fat, it contains high concentrations of monosaturated omega-3s. These healthful fatty acids support a healthy heart and cardiovascular system. Now, studies show that using ghee as a part of a balanced diet can reduce unhealthy cholesterol levels. Now, why is the paratha good? It is freshly prepared, it will go bad in a few hours in the heat and has the good fat. It has no preservatives and no harmful packaging. So a paratha over packaged muesli is a better choice. In fact, a freshly prepared samosa, not the frozen one, is actually better than a bag of chips. So not like I'm promoting an oily snack to you, just drawing a comparison on what you should choose from if you are actually having a choice between these two things. Ingredients such as salt and sugar and fat added to processed foods to make their flavor more appealing and to extend their shelf life, or in some cases to contribute to the food structure such as salt in bread or sugar in cakes. Artificial flavors are added, food color, texturing agents. These foods, unlike your ghar ka khana, will be much tastier, even addictive, and meet your cravings, but damage your health in the longer run. Ultra-processed foods are also cheap and easily accessible. For example, a pack of chips or biscuits, even in rural India, has now become a substitute for a wholesome meal cooked at home. In fact, the level of awareness in rural India about the dangers of processed food is so low, it's frightening. Processed foods are linked to increase in cardiovascular disease, obesity in kids, lack of agility. Increased sodium levels means increased blood pressure. Regular consumption of processed foods is an open invitation to ill health. Imagine what a pack of biscuits can do to you, to your child. Have you even thought about how much is the excess salt and sugar intake when a 5-year-old polishes off a bag of chips? Or what is the nutritional value of the fizzy drink that your child just finished off? In this day and age, cooking 3 fresh meals a day is a tall order for many. But conscious eating and limiting your junk food intake, processed food intake will translate to a healthier, longer life. Getting your nutrients as much as you can from anything does not come in a packet, because most things in a packet are what they are called, junk. Well, our next report is going to give you an insight as to why India has become the diabetes capital of the world, and things are only worsening for us as far as this dreaded lifestyle disease is concerned.
I tried everything, it didn't go away.
No one is destined to be diabetic, but Sohit was.
Everyone I have met.
Living in a joint family of 15 folks, Sohit saw diabetes all around him. Parents, aunts and uncles, one can say his fate was sealed.
So all 3 families, most people are diabetic.
Yeah,
Sohit, who is in his early 30s, found out that he's a type 2 diabetic when India was under a lockdown due to COVID-19.
I knew what a fatty liver looks like. I suspected I'm diabetic on 6th May 2020. I felt some tingling sensation in my leg. So, because I have also faced blood pressure issues, so I checked my blood pressure, was normal. Next logical thing was check your sugar. I borrowed my mother's sugar machine and checked my sugar, and it was about 340. I told the doctor that, I'm not really fond of that many sweets. So why am I having these issues? So she asked me, what is your routine and all those things. I would tell, I would have like 3-4 glasses of Tang, Coke, things like that. So she told me, you're virtually living on sugar.
India has been struggling with its diabetic population. Projections say in 2019, 77 million individuals had diabetes in India. This number is expected to rise to 134 million by 2045. The worry is the youth is contributing to the bulk of this burden, as 57% of them remain undiagnosed.
The PCOS girl.
Doctors explain why.
Over the years, over the decades actually, there is a change in eating patterns and lifestyle patterns. And the exponential growth that has happened in diabetes is accompanied by a lowering of age at onset. So more and more younger people, as you very rightly say, are affected by this type of type 2 diabetes.
COVID has also been a major trigger for the rapid rise in diabetics across the globe.
COVID did many things. There was worsening of diabetes during COVID that everyone knows. There were a lot of people who were pre-diabetic or borderline diabetic who became floridly diabetic during COVID. But there also seems to be some increase in actual risk of new diabetes, which is still being studied.
It is not only an urban phenomenon. Rural India is also moving towards increasing numbers of diabetics today.
India has another problem, that when mothers are undernourished and their babies are small, even those babies have a greater risk of developing diabetes, and I'll explain that. When such babies, when they're exposed to same kind of food, the energy dense food that everyone's having these days, they also suddenly tend to put on weight around their tummies, and they also tend to become metabolically, quickly diabetic later in life.
Today, Sohit's story is the one to inspire. He has now fully reversed type 2 diabetes.
I think today only I was told that my diabetes has been reversed. My H1BAC is 5.4.
Of course, heredity is one such factor. But a bad lifestyle, overconsumption of fast food, sugary foods and smoking is making Indians diabetic.
there should be a larger focus on child health and women, especially maternal nutrition during pregnancy, that could act as a preventive measure against the spread and increase of diabetic incidences in the country. With Pradeep Gupta, Milan Sharma for India Today.
Have you ever thought about what goes into manufacturing food that is found in packets? What exactly are the ingredients? Have you tried reading labels from processed foods? First of all, do these labels found in processed foods in India inform you or mislead you? Our next report tells you more. The biggest burden of lifestyle diseases in the world, maximum number of patients suffering from diabetes, childhood obesity on the rise. India is battling a silent pandemic. This is a pandemic of increasing burden of non-communicable lifestyle illnesses. And one of the major reasons is because there is lack of awareness about what we are eating. For example, what is the nutritional value of this pack of biscuits that I've just picked up? There is nutrition information which I can't even read. In fact, there's lack of information about this so-called food in a packet. The government of India intends to bring about star ratings. Now, on the face of it, it appears that this is rightly intentioned. But experts say that star ratings are actually counterproductive and that there should be warning signs that should come right here instead of star ratings. What do junk foods deserve? Star ratings or warning signs? That is the question being asked by public health experts in India.
It does not help people to identify unhealthy nutrients. For example, a diabetic may like to know how much sugar in a product is there, but it doesn't tell. Second, the use of healthy nutrients, like for example, if you put nuts in the chocolate, gives more stars. So it is misleading in nature and manipulative. Industry likes it because it gives more stars. They can use it for health claims, and that is useful for marketing their product. Thirdly, which is general, creating a halo or health halo around all the food products. Once you adopt this policy, all the food products which are industrially produced will be labeled as healthy in varying degrees from 1 star to 5 stars.
Instead, introduce warning signs, say experts. Experts from Cambridge University have shown that cigarette-style packaging would also put people off junk food. The idea is to focus on the relationship between the product and its health effects, and that they believe could be the key to targeting unhealthy food consumption. So your chocolate bar with a health warning, the Coke with a cigarette-like warning could work. While these may be drastic, simpler warning signs instead of star labeling is the way forward.
If we give clear-cut health warnings about high levels of salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats, we are educating the consumer to make an informed choice rather than being misguided by a supposedly healthy product.
Experts are in favor of nutrient-specific warning signs, which is known to be effective to reduce consumption of junk foods. That is the only way to send the right message to a population that has low levels of nutritional literacy. Outside of India, Canada is imposing warning label signs on high on salt and sugar foods. Mexico has already imposed black stop labels on these foods. Chile was the first country to have front of the food label warning. It remains to be seen if the food regulator's star ratings get cleared or whether the food authority eventually goes in for stricter warnings like the danger sign for processed food items. In New Delhi, Sneha Mordani for India Today. Here are food items that you should refrain from eating or be extremely wary of because they have a direct link with lifestyle ailments. Let's talk about red meats first. Extremely harmful. Saturated fats, they also boost the bad kind of cholesterol, and that's the reason why you should not be consuming them. Foods rich in sugar. Sugar leads to inflammation. Salt, also sodium. These boost your blood pressure, which means they increase your blood pressure levels. And that's the reason why you should not be consuming them. Soda, again, which is extremely rich in sugars. It has added sugars, and that's the reason why you should refrain from consuming sodas. Processed meats, they're very high in salt to preserve these meats, and that's the reason why you should not be consuming them. White rice, bread and pasta. Now these items will just fill you up, but it's zero nutritional value. It has zero food value. So you're just consuming them and filling yourself up and doing nothing else when it comes to your health. So refrain from consuming white pasta and white bread and also white rice. Canned soup, canned vegetables, whole lot of preservatives, extremely harmful. These preservatives will improve the shelf life of these canned food items but reduce yours. They're extremely harmful. You should not be consuming them.
Fashion industry is all about new designs, styles and creations. Well, now fashion designers have a new playground for their creations, the metaverse. This digital world where thanks to an avatar that gives us a virtual twin, we can evolve and act just as we would in the real world. We enter it through wearing a virtual reality headgear or by watching a computer or smartphone screen. The metaverse is a space for experimentation and testing out new products, allowing designers to push the boundaries of their creativity. This has economic advantages too. By testing out their collection in the metaverse, they can then analyze public reaction in it and adapt demand accordingly to avoid surplus production and unsold items in the real world. In other words, an eco-friendly approach. For other designers, their creations will stay digital. On specialized platform, brands commercialize their virtual clothes by attaching to them an NFT or a non-interchangeable unit of data stored on a blockchain that can be sold and traded using cryptocurrency. This kind of marketing saves brands from their worst nightmare, fakes flooding the marketplace. With the second-hand market booming, reselling a pair of virtual shoes associated with an NFT will give the designer royalties on each transaction. Some brands link a virtual fashion item with its counterpart in reality.
You would have heard about the concept of food miles. The lesser time your food takes to travel from the farm to your plate, the better. The lesser food miles, the better it is. Hence the concept of locally sourced foods, locally procured foods and locally grown foods. Here's why nutritionists believe these foods are the best for you.
It is fresher. It has not traveled thousands of kilometers to reach your plate or waited in a cold storage facility to be made available around the year. Secondly, it retains more nutrients. Thirdly, local foods are more flavorful. Why? Because they are not harvested early to be shipped for distribution thousands of miles away. They are in fact picked at the peak of ripeness and they store maximum flavor.
This food is not just healthy, nutritious, but it's right there fresh in front of you because the farm to fork time is really less. When the food is pocket friendly with least carbon emissions, less pollutants, fresh, healthy, nutritious, I think we should make the right choice of eating local, which is also healthy.
Our next report explains why and how, in a bid to lose weight, we end up losing essential nutrients by blindly following fad diets. Here's more.
Kim has confessed that she developed psoriatic arthritis after following a strict diet. She lost 16 pounds in 3 weeks, while the recommended healthy target is 1 to 2 pounds a week. Psoriatic arthritis typically causes the affected joints to swell up, making it stiff and painful. Clearly, Kim's choices have come under severe fire, but she has defended her move, claiming she had a nutritionist supervising her diet. Fad diets have always been an unfortunate part of the health and fitness industry. Every now and then, a new diet emerges promising unreal results. While some may achieve temporary results, many end up with health conditions they never had.
There are diet and fitness fads that people follow blindly these days. They think that these are an easy way to good health, but quick fixes can be disastrous. A fad diet has two things in it. One, it is way too restrictive, and second, they may give you quick results but may affect overall health. They are only a temporary fix to a long-term eating and lifestyle problem one may have.
In a recent major study, unhealthy diets are said to be responsible for over 11 million deaths per year globally, more than smoking or consuming tobacco. Eating very little fruits and vegetables and consuming too much sodium through salt or processed food is accounted for half of all deaths. Heart attacks and strokes are the main diet-related causes of death, followed by type 2 diabetes and cancer.
If for an extended period of time we go very low on protein or avoid proteins, it can have a major health impact, leading to weakness, fatigue, muscle loss, sarcopenias, or even a weakened immunity. Going completely off salt for a long period of time is also not healthy, because that can lead to certain issues like severe weakness, convulsions, and even coma in certain cases.
Though most of these fad diets do nothing except waste time, effort and money, gullible people fall prey to its promise of instant results. Often these diets aren't well researched or the research is faulty. In a bid to find a temporary solution, you might end up with a lifelong problem. Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, that report brings us to the end of this edition of Health 360. Hope you enjoyed watching the show as much as we did putting together these reports for you. Until next time, eat well, stay safe, and do take very good care of yourselves.
"200 environmental and land defense activists were killed in 2021 globally. More than three-quarters of the killings took place in Latin America, where Colombia, Brazil, and Nicaragua also logged double-digit death tolls. It was the third consecutive year of increases for Mexico. In 2021, it was 54 and 30 in 2020. But this is not the shocking part of the report. Global Witness considers its report a baseline and said our data on killings is likely to be an underestimate, given that many murders go unreported, particularly in rural areas and in particular countries. The victims died fighting resource exploitation and inland disputes. 27 of these deaths were related to mining. This is the highest number of any sector. And from the 27, 15 of those were in Mexico. In 2021, the killings of environmental activists in Colombia dropped to 33 from 65 in 2020. The Philippines saw fewer killings in 2021, 19 as compared to 30 in 2020. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, all 8 recorded victims were killed inside Virunga National Park. Virunga Park is home to some of the world's last mountain gorillas, but armed groups such as the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, known by its
Hello and welcome. You're watching The Inside Story. I'm Nabila Jamal. This edition, we're here to talk to you about the hijab, all the controversies surrounding the hijab. In fact, the headscarf worn by Muslim women to cover their modesty is today in the center of a storm, a debate, a controversy that's now panned the world over. This has happened due to the death of a 22-year-old Iranian woman who was in custody. She was detained by the moral police for inappropriate hijab, basically not wearing the hijab in the right manner. Her death has now sparked protests across Iran, and the Iranian regime is busy proving it as an international propaganda, basically an international plot to topple their regime. Here's a quick report that really explains what's happening in Iran today.
We came to Iran to prepare the situation for toppling the Islamic regime.
On 6th October, Iran published a video showing 2 detained French citizens accused of spying. Tehran tried to describe the ongoing anti-hijab protests in Iran as a foreign plot instead of local anger over the death of a 22-year-old detained by the country's morality police. 4 days before the video was published, speakers at Iran's parliament warned that protests over Mahsa Amini's death could turn into a challenge against the ruling establishment. They urged security forces to deal with it harshly.
The enemy was ready to lift a large portion of the sanctions, but the protest encouraged it to increase pressure on the Iranian people, like what happened in 2009. That encouraged the enemy to impose extensive sanctions against us while it was agreeing a deal with Iran.
This dramatic video is from a girls' high school in Karajak. In this city in the west of Iranian capital of Tehran, most of the girls are without their mandatory hijab or headscarf. They're seen screaming at an unidentified man and throwing objects at him as he hurriedly leaves the scene. This Monday protest became instantly a viral video of the anti-hijab protest in Iran. A day later, another video spread on social media showing Iranian schoolgirls, some of them without their mandatory headscarves, heckling what appears to be an official invited to address them. The girls chant at the man standing on a podium in what appears to be a schoolyard. Basij is Iran's paramilitary force widely used in cracking down on protesters. Basij members and other officials are often invited to schools to lecture about morality, about religion, or the Islamic Revolution. Reports on social media suggested that the event took place in Iran's 5th most populous city of Shiraz. But Iran's president blamed America and Israel for planning these protests in the country to stop Iran's progress.
Why did the enemies, why did America and the Zionist regime conspire against our nation, our country, and our revolution and create these riots? As the supreme leader said, our country is advancing and the enemies don't want our country to make progress.
Protests have embroiled dozens of cities across Iran and evolved into the most widespread challenge to Iran's leadership in years. These protests have stretched into a 3rd week, even after authorities disrupted the internet and deployed riot troops. But women and even men came out in protests, burning hijabs, cutting off hair, chanting death to the dictator. The full breadth of the demonstrations and crackdown remains unclear. An Associated Press tally of reports in state-run and state-linked media shows that there have been at least 1,900 arrests connected to these anti-hijab protests. Demonstrations have been reported in at least 50 cities, towns and villages. Iranian state television suggested at least 41 people had been killed in the demonstrations as of 24th September alone. Whereas an Oslo-based group called Iran Human Rights estimates at least 154 people have been killed.
Now, in the center of these protests is a story of a spirited life that was snuffed out even before time. Mahsa Amini was barely 22 years old when she died in custody. Iran claims that her medical reports reveal that her death was due to an illness, basically that she had some preconditions which has led to her demise. But her family refuses to believe so. Neither do those who are protesting over her brutal killings in Iran believe what the Iranian government has to say. Let's take a look.
The woman
woman being dragged is 22-year-old Mahsa Amini. Her fault, so-called inappropriate hijab.
Ms. Amini, a 22-year-old Iranian woman from the Kurdish minority, was with her brother in Tehran when she was arrested on the 13th of September for what was perceived to be improper hijab. She fell into a coma shortly after collapsing at Bozara Detention Center. Ms. Amini, who also goes by the Kurdish name Gina, died 3 days later. There are reports that Ms. Amini was beaten on the head with a baton, and her head was banged against the vehicle by so-called morality police. Authorities have stated that she died of natural causes.
Mahsa Amini's Kurdish name, Gina, means mind, and she had a mind of her own. Following the strict rules of Iranian moral police, she was wearing a hijab and was in a public place in her brother's company. But that wasn't enough. Tehran of 2022 found her hijab offensive because her hair was showing. She was dragged and beaten up. Her brother, Kiarash, intervened. However, the police told him that they are taking his sister to the police station for 1 hour of re-education. Her brother waited outside the police station for her to be released. But an ambulance pulled up and took his sister to the hospital. The police claimed she suffered a heart attack, but her family countered the claim by saying she had no history of heart diseases.
Mahsa's death became a spark for this protest movement across Iran and Kurdistan. The Iranian authorities are pressuring her parents not to release information to the media and the world.
Mahsa's father was angry and defiant. He refused to allow Islamic prayers over his daughter's dead body.
Mahsa is the voice of the anger of the Iranian people right now. Mahsa has sparked this anger. Why? Because when Mahsa died, the Islamic Republic tried to bury her secretly at night, without anyone knowing. Fortunately, the people in her hometown of Saqqez prevented this plot and did not allow this. With the help of thousands of people from Saqqez and other cities, she was buried.
Mahsa's death has sparked anti-hijab protests that's not only burning in Iran, but across the world it has found voice of support among celebrities and women in general. Here's a quick look, a report that really explains how the anti-hijab protests are now spreading like wildfire across the globe.
Bollywood celebrity Priyanka Chopra posted her support for the anti-hijab protest on the 6th October. Within hours, it had close to 4 lakh likes and nearly 40,000 comments. Iranian actor of Bollywood, Mandana Karimi staged a lone protest in Mumbai in solidarity with the women of Iran for their right to veil or unveil. French actresses, singers, songwriters took to social media and cut off their hair to show their support for the protests raging in Iran. Belgium's foreign minister and 2 other lawmakers cut their hair in parliament in solidarity with anti-government demonstrations in Iran.
Voor vrouw, voor vrijheid, voor het leven. Until the women of Iran.
On 5th October, a Swedish member of the European Parliament, Abir Al-Sahlani, cut her hair during a speech in the EU Assembly to show solidarity with Iranian women.
Herzlichen Dank.
These protests are not limited to only celebrities. Women across the world from Ecuador to Italy cut off their hair to join the growing voice of protest against moral policing surrounding hijab in Iran. These tourists also joined the protest in Rome.
I decided to cut my hair because I cannot believe that in 2022 the women are still struggling to have their basic freedom and basic rights. I cannot believe that we are still going through what we are going through, especially in Iran. So I am with the women of Iran.
They need to know that they're not alone. They need to know that what they're asking, which are basic human rights, is something that we want to fight alongside with them.
These protests have also been discussed at the United Nations.
We call on the authorities to respect the rights and freedom of expression, peaceful assembly and association. And we also call on the authorities to respect women's rights and to take further steps to eliminate forms of discrimination against women and girls and implement effective measures to protect them from their human rights violations in accordance with international standards.
Making the voice stronger, Iranian women living abroad have urged the world to come together.
For the Islamic Republic, hijab is a tool to control women and through women to control the whole society. For them, compulsory hijab is like the Berlin Wall. If we tear this wall down, the Islamic Republic won't exist because it's the main pillar of the Islamic Republic.
Women in Iran are not stopping, and as more and more women join in protest, the cry for women's right to wail or unwail is becoming a universal call.
It's now time for a short break. On the other side of Inside Story, we're going to bring to you the different angles of this hijab controversy. And here, back home, there's a plea at the Indian Apex Court asking for reviewing of the hijab ban in some parts of the country. Let's take a quick look on the other side.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events. The true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter.
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
Of those who should matter. I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth.
The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again.
I hustle for the truth, on the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs.
I inform you to make you see the point.
To the Point with Preeti Chaudhary at these times only on India Today. Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
Now, there are different forms of headscarves, different types of cloaks worn by Muslim women. Hijab is one of them. The terms and forms differ, but the main purpose of them is to cover a woman's modesty, their sexuality, in the name of faith. But here the question is, does it really ignore a woman's right to veil or unveil? Listen in.
The terms may be used interchangeably, but in fact the hijab, niqab and burqa are different pieces of Islamic covering. They're all designed to protect a woman's modesty. In recent years, they have sparked debate around the world, with some militating against this show of religious identity and others seeing it as a patriarchal imposition on women's bodies, cloaking them in victimhood and depriving them of choice. The Muslim woman herself is divided, with one half of the sorority discarding it and the other half embracing it as an observation of their faith. But first, what is the hijab and its cousins? The hijab is the simplest covering. This is essentially a length of cloth used to cover the head and neck, much like the ghungat among Hindu women, who often use the end of the sari to cover the head. A niqab is a starker covering. It veils the face and covers the head and neck, but leaves the eyes exposed. The burqa is the most intense covering. It includes a full body cloak, a veil for the face and a covering for the head, as well as screen covering the eyes. A chadar is a large piece of cloth that is used as a combination shawl covering head and face. These are only some variations. Others include the shaila, a long scarf that is used to cover the head and face, and the abaya, which is a long robe-like dress that's usually worn over the clothing. While it is common to see such clothing in black, the color is not fixed. For instance, in Afghanistan, burqas are often made in a shade of blue. The exact cut and style also vary, keeping in mind local customs and climate.
In India, hijab is brewed in a very different controversy. The apex court is now hearing a case about women's right to wear a hijab. And this is a story that's been in the headlines right from the start of this year, all because the Karnataka government decided that they wanted to ban hijab from educational institutions. Now, let's take a quick look at what really is happening in Karnataka and how this is echoed in different parts of India.
In the past, a couple of Indian women have lodged their protest against the hijab law in Iran. Ace shooter Hina Sidhu and chess grandmaster Soumya Swaminathan both have boycotted tournaments in Iran to protest against the regressive law. In 2016, Hina Sidhu pulled out of the Asian Airgun Shooting Championship, which was held in Tehran. She clarified her decision in a social media post where she said that to wear a hijab is not in the spirit of a sport. Chess grandmaster Soumya Swaminathan decided to pull out of the Indian squad for the Asian Team Chess Championship held in Tehran in 2018. In a statement on Facebook, she wrote, and I quote, "I find the Iranian law of compulsory headscarf to be in direct violation of my basic human rights, including my right to freedom of expression and right to freedom of thought, conscience and religion." In India, hijab has been in the spotlight since the beginning of 2022. It started small. 6 girls in their mid-teens in the coastal Karnataka town of Udupi were refused permission by their pre-university college to don the hijab in class. 2022 started with this protest. On January 1st, 6 girls entered the classrooms wearing headscarves, but an Udupi pre-university college denied them entry. The girls claimed wearing a hijab is their fundamental right. The school shared photographs and said no such precedence existed in the institution. The Basavaraj Bommai government in the state formed an expert committee to resolve the issue. By the end of month, the girls moved the Karnataka High Court claiming their right to wear the hijab. In the next few days, the showdown over hijab spreads. After Udupi, hijab ban is reported in Shimoga. Now counter-protests erupt in Udupi. Soon they spread across Karnataka. Hindu students demand entry with saffron shawls. On February 4th, the Karnataka government intervened and released an order mandating uniform rule. The High Court begins hearing on the petition filed by the girls on February 8th. While the matter is in court, protests spread across the state, leading to a face-off between students. The hijab showdown reaches boiling point. On the one side, students wearing saffron scarves, on the other, girls in hijab and burqa. By the second week, the High Court forms a three-judge bench that hears the matter. On February 10th, the bench comprising Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court Rituraj Avasthi, Justice Krishna S. Dixit, and Justice J.M. Kazi stated that colleges in Karnataka can reopen, but restrain students of colleges that have prescribed a dress code on uniform from wearing religious garments. Following the interim order, schools and colleges in the state were opened in a phased manner. All colleges were reopened on the 16th of February. Panic gripped the coastal state as more colleges reported tense situations. Students with headscarves or burqa are banned from entry and protests break out at the gates. During the hearing, the PU College, the epicenter of Karnataka hijab row, blamed a radical group for allegedly spearheading the fight for hijab. While the petitioners' advocates said such a ban is illegal and asked how a statutory ban can be made the guardian of fundamental rights. Finally, on March 15th, the Karnataka High Court pronounced its judgment in the hijab case. The court upheld the government's order, dismissed petitions challenging the ban on hijab in educational institutes. The court stated, hijab is not an essential religious practice in Islam and freedom of religion under Article 25 of the Constitution is subject to reasonable restrictions. In June this year, 24 girls were suspended for wearing the hijab in the classroom at a Mangalore college. They returned to class after a week by tendering an apology letter to the principal stating that they would comply with the college uniform rules. The Karnataka hijab ban in educational institutions is now being heard in the Apex Court. On 21st September, the Supreme Court observed that allowing girl students to wear hijab to educational institutions may also be viewed as an opportunity for children at an impressionable age to learn about diversity that India is all about. The court has reserved its verdict in the case.
Question comes, as in India, where there are women who are saying it is their decision, that they have a constitutional right if they choose to wear the hijab. So how do you decide if a hijab is being worn by a woman by force or choice? Are you saying there is no choice that they have?
It cannot be a choice. You know, normally the men ask women to wear hijab. Men, they don't wear hijab. It is women, they have to wear hijab. Most women, you know, they're forced by their parents because, and some women are, you know, they're afraid if they do not wear hijab, they will be beaten up. They will be, you know, they will be harassed by men. So they wear hijab.
Hijab or a veil is and should be a woman's personal choice. In 2022, it can't possibly be enforced or dictated. Hijab or no hijab is not a political issue. It's entirely a personal one. It's essentially a woman's personal decision. As the anti-hijab protests in Iran and across the world gain momentum, in India, it's now become a political tool that needs arbitration from the apex court. That's all we have for now. Time for in this episode of Inside Story. A short break. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned to India Today.
Battery swapping was a real game changer and is a real game changer as we go into other markets, large-scale markets.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
In the world's noisiest democracy, this you see here is the noisiest democratic newsroom. And once a week, a bunch of us here get together to kick around and dissect and fight about the big headlines of the week. We're starting today's democratic newsroom with what else but the viral Rahul Yatra. Take a look. It rained down on Rahul Gandhi. Then he was tying his mother's shoelaces, all really evocative, powerful images that have gone viral in what is clearly a yatra that is full of images that are meant to portray Rahul Gandhi in one way or the other. The whole point, Preeti, of the Congress party saying Rahul is only a participant, I don't think, even the Congress people are laughing at that, obviously, because this is about Rahul Gandhi, this is about relaunching him, reshaping him, projecting him. But do you think it's doing what it's intended to do?
I'm hoping that for the party's sake it is, because what has gone down in the recent past says anything but that. But why do I think that this could be his one and only shot for resurrection? And why I say that is because for the first time, the organization bit of the party and leading the party in elections and as a face, or political face, is different. Why do I say that? Is for the first time you have the president elections where you've kept the organization bit away, and at least for now, because Rahul Gandhi kept talking about the vision he has for India.
And he hasn't said a word about the presidential stuff.
He has a vision for India. He has a vision for India. This is his only shot right now.
Every time I anchor, I realize, and describing those visuals, I think it's incredible that Rahul Gandhi is on the ground and now Sonia Gandhi has joined in. Look at the support that Congress party has got on the ground.
No, but is that staged?
But I believe it's too little too late. I think the moment should have come about 2 years
ago. Too late
ago.
for what? 2024?
2024 to begin with, and also Congress to make its way. Maybe it can make
What's
5
the
years
point?
later.
What's
But
the point of these
2024,
photo ops?
It's not happening.
What's the point of these photo ops? If they're natural
the
or
point
staged.
of the photo ops, what I believe is that it's showing a leader, approachable, accessible, someone who's empathizing,
But
sympathizing.
my question is,
he's showing, and those images speak for itself.
My question is simple, that you're going about this entire photo op, and it's not the first time he's done it. Jumped into the sea, he did push-ups, he went to schools, he was seen interacting with all these girls, taking selfies. Nothing new if you ask me what's happening right now. Because he did it then. What did he get out of it? Kerala elections, LDF came back. Tamil Nadu rode on the DMK. So my point is that while great, it makes for great social media content, grassroots level, the Congress still does nothing.
You know, I'll tell you what the difference is. This time around, he's going to do it for 150 days straight. So for whether you like it, whether you hate
But it's
him,
a
for what
social media campaign.
No, let me finish.
My point is, where is Rahul Gandhi? What is he doing for Gujarat? What is he doing for Himachal Pradesh? Even in Himachal Pradesh, they're nowhere. So great, what you're doing is great for you,
guys,
party.
That's my question.
But why you
I'll get Gaurav. It's true that this is the biggest sort of yatra or campaign in Rahul Gandhi's name that's happening. But I agree with Akshita that it's happened before. The relaunches of Rahul Gandhi have been happening over and over and over again for a long time. But now, this time, what is the message going out?
If they're preaching to the converted, they're doing a great job. If they're trying to reach out to newer people, then they need to be in a difficult area. Compare this to their rivals, the BJP. Where is the BJP president? He's going into constituencies where the BJP had lost in the last elections. That is where they're spending more time. That is where they're trying to make inroads. Point 2. That picture was truly iconic when it was raining and Rahul Gandhi was standing there, and there were so many comparisons with Sharad Pawar that this is Rahul Gandhi's Sharad Pawar moment, turning point of the elections. What happened subsequently? A 2-day break. There is a break in phase 1, there's a break in phase 2.
That part-time politician tag.
That part-time politician tag, that needs to go.
I disagree here. I think it was a valid criticism. Why is he not going to Himachal or Gujarat? One thing the Congress realizes and should realize, it's not the BJP. So while Nadda might be going into new terrain and trying to mark new political territory, these guys can't think about doing that. They have to save what they have. They had 20 seats, Kerala, in the last general elections.
A big chunk.
18, I think 19 or 18 went to the Congress, right? Karnataka was a wipeout for
So this
them.
was about protecting what you have.
The BJP took Karnataka. So the number of days that they're spending in Karnataka, they want to make sure that they get that. Maharashtra, they're spending a sizable chunk in Maharashtra. When they come up, they know Uttar Pradesh, they've lost. Those 80 seats are not coming to them. They get 3, that's good for them. If the flip side of that is, they are capitalizing on their strengths where they think they can make inroads, stick on to what they had and build a little more. 150 days. 150 days, he will find himself in the, today he's tying his mother's shoelaces. Yesterday he was standing in the rain. Whether you hate him, whether you like him, you'll see his picture, he'll be talk of conversation.
No, absolutely. There is a
But my point is, Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi, it's a complete fail. But if it's about rejuvenating his own political career
is that a complete
and
fail?
shrugging off or shedding off that Pappu image, I think he's on the right path.
Why is that a complete fail? Because I, as a voter, would want to know. I'll tell you why. I know what Narendra Modi stands
his
for.
attempt is a fail.
I know what Narendra Modi or his ideology stands for. I still don't know what Rahul Gandhi stands for. You come to power with promise. What do I stand for? Not stand against BJP. What do I stand for? You're not never going to connect to the voter.
I think he's creating that image. You're saying people of the masses.
People of the masses. It's not making an impact. We wouldn't be talking about it over here.
No,
we wouldn't be discussing it. Whether it eventually translates into votes for him in the general elections, does he perform better in the upcoming state elections next year?
In defense of the media, I have to say Rahul Gandhi has always made news. We can argue till kingdom come about why he makes news, but there has never been a point where the media has ignored Rahul Gandhi.
That's true.
But just to come to Karnataka for a moment, Nabila, he's in our state right now. The rain happened there, the shoelaces happened there, the break happened there in Coorg, also lovely place I hear. But does that talk to people of Karnataka? Because Karnataka is being seen as the one state where the Congress has a chance.
So Shiv, in 2018, I think the works were different. There was a sentiment towards the BJP, leaning towards the BJP. And again, when it comes to Modi, the aura unmatchable. I'd say this time and again, there's no match to anyone in the Congress versus Prime Minister Modi. This year's assembly elections, it seems there's some level of anti-incumbency.
That very controversial pastor, religious leader that he met. A religious leader who's very critical of the way Hindus live in our country or the way
I think that was honestly not a letdown of Rahul but his team. Maybe they didn't do the right kind of research and I think they've admitted that.
Jairam
My
said it was a
point
massive
is,
mistake.
The Congress, in whichever state it does well, is also because it has a very strong regional leadership. So does that mean that it's not really the Rahul effect?
What the Congress has done is gone back to textbook campaigning. Every time any leader has taken a Padyatra, the kind that they are, he's embarked on right now, it's given them dividends. Who's behind this Yatra? Digvijay Singh. Digvijay Singh came back with a thumping majority at the back of a similar Yatra, which he carried out in Madhya
Jagannath Reddy.
Jagannath Reddy, name it. There are, you go back. History stands testimony to the political dividends or kickbacks that Padyatra can get you.
May I remind all of us here that the Karnataka elections are still a few months away. If they're summoning DK now, imagine what's going to happen closer to the election. So let's wait for that. Karnataka is going to be that one big, exciting fight that everyone's looking forward to. And like Preeti said, 150 days and we're just getting started. India Today will never ignore Rahul Gandhi. Everyone's got a favorite Sena ever since that big political coup with Eknath Shinde deposing Uddhav Thackeray. Well, 2 big rallies on Dussehra, lots of color, lots of muscle flexing. So who really won? Or did anyone win at all? And where do things lie with Bal Thackeray's Shiv Sena? 2 big bang Dussehra rallies in Mumbai, one by Uddhav Thackeray and one by Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde. We've been talking about it because India Today was the first to break, remember, a few weeks ago, the entire break in the original Shiv Sena. Polomi was there in Mumbai. Polomi, what did you think about yesterday's big war of the rallies?
You look at the drone shots from Shivaji Park, you look at the drone shots from BKC MMRDA grounds, it looks like huge crowds. Mumbai police numbers are Uddhav got 1 lakh and Shinde got 2 lakh is what they're saying. And it's the elections which will prove who exactly...
At the beginning of November.
So yes, 3rd of November is one by-election. It's Andheri East. So this contest is going to be extremely important. And then subsequently the civic body elections in Mumbai in February next year.
Are these Dussehra rallies considered so important as far as muscle flexing is concerned?
So Uddhav Thackeray is in this a long legacy.
No,
And
this
did
is
the
actually
Thackeray camp get a...
Bala
in the Shivaji Park.
Shivaji Park, right from 1966. He's done it right there.
All these 3 netas are speaking the same language. I mean, yesterday also Uddhav Thackeray speaking Pakistan, Kashmir, Hindutva, Eknath Shinde, BJP. These 3 parties, my point is, what are they fighting about?
No, but that's where it becomes very interesting.
So other parties
about power.
That's the whole point.
They
but
weren't
it's the
talking
same
about it when they were in the
ideology.
Aghadi.
When you talk about ideology, it's the same.
But now the ideology is very different. I'll tell you how. They're talking about Gaddar. They're talking about Katappa. Who stabbed who in the back? Who's actually the betrayer? So, and who's the real inheritor? This entire fight is who's the real Shiv Sena? Who's the inheritor of Balasaheb Thackeray's legacy?
What's happening
the
right
real
now?
You have a pro BJP Sena and anti BJP Sena. You have Thackeray Sena saying we won't be BJP servants. We will not buckle.
They had a video of Balasaheb Thackeray from previously, an old video where he said that we have joined hands with the BJP. It's not because we are looking for power or whatever, but we've categorically stated to them, देश भर में आपको रूल करना है, आप रूल कर लिए, महाराष्ट्र हमारा रहेगा.
Can I just
so
say
Uddhav Thackeray wanting to stay on as chief minister, Shiv Sena keeping that seat and not yielding power to the BJP in 2019, that was Bala Sahib's wish. Is what Uddhav Thackeray faction is
from
trying to
everything that's happening in Maharashtra, I'd just like to say that this is exactly what happened in Tamil Nadu with the AIADMK. And today you look at what's happening with the AIADMK. Both sides, to me, whether it's the EPS, OPS faction or the TTV Sashikala faction and this Jayalalitha legacy fight.
Andheri East by-polls will be a litmus test of exactly that. And why do I feel somewhere down the line, even if the election commission doesn't come up with on what happens to the symbol, in all probabilities there'll be a freeze on the symbol. It's advantage Uddhav, because Uddhav is going on to the electoral battlefield as my own candidate. And he's facing off with the BJP. So what he is going to do is, he's going to go down and he's going to say, this is the Shiv Sena, you have a Shiv Sainik, this man is a BJP, backed by the Shiv Sena.
But let me just highlight why I drew that parallel.
The Shinde camp narrative, which basically says that we were always natural allies with the BJP.
The point remains, Uddhav Thackeray claims inheritance by birth. Eknath Shinde says
legacy.
It's talent, it is work, it is the Shiv Sena, and he says, when I give my power to whoever it goes to, the inheritor will become my son.
Not dynasty,
and not,
but legacy.
And not dynasty
Shiv
and
Sena,
legacy.
that's why, no,
But
no,
also
what is
what-
Shiv Sena? Shiv Sena is Bala Saheb Thackeray. Bala Saheb Thackeray in Shivaji Park
Shiv
gave the
Sena
legacy
is-
to his own son.
But that legacy is not to be inherited. It's hard work. It's the Marathi Asmita. It is not inherited father to son.
I think Uddhav Thackeray to have gone with NCP Congress was in itself questioning the cadre. The cadre, of course, was taken by
Guys,
surprise that
we're
this does
also-
not match our ideology.
We're also pretending like there are no Shiv Sainiks with the Shinde faction.
True.
That's not true.
I was just about to say that there's...
Hello, I mean there are lakhs of Shiv
Like she's
Sainiks
saying
who are
2
on the
lakhs,
Shinde
yeah.
faction.
When
It's
you
not like
speak-
all the Sainiks are with
so
Uddhav.
And when you're in power, you are the chief minister.
Yeah,
you will
yeah,
you
correct.
will have the entire machinery and the administration with you.
No, but then
and
when you
people
speak of
gravitate to power.
sympathy factor for Uddhav Thackeray, he might have sympathy among the masses, but his own MLAs don't believe in him anymore, it appears. For the kind of exodus that's happened, one really wonders what's gone so wrong. Uddhav Thackeray, why didn't he have that kind of
Because
support
he
even
didn't
with the
stand by the ideas of
did
Baba
he
Saheb
basic
Thackeray.
numbers?
Did he take it for granted? Did he assume that I'm the son? Shiv Sena will always be mine.
Which he's now talking about.
If you're with BJP, you endorse Hindutva. If you're not, you don't.
No, it's simple. Will Bala Saheb Thackeray ever have allied with the Congress and NCP?
Well, yes. In his last interview, Bala Saheb Thackeray did say that he doesn't want
But
to get
some of his
anywhere near the
harshest
Bharatiya
words
Janata
were for the
Party.
Congress.
Yes, it was. But the dynamics were changing. In the last leg of Bala Saheb Thackeray, there have been multiple interviews where he's been open and he said that he would not touch BJP with the barge.
But
And
did
I
he
would think,
endorse
I
the
would
other
think-
side is my
I
question.
would think for Uddhav Thackeray at that point of time, Uddhav Thackeray, there were a lot of negatives. He never attended any meeting. He had absolutely no contact with his MLAs. I would reckon Polomi will field for that. But ultimately, the Shiv Sena breaking up with the BJP, it's a regional party. The BJP would have taken over the Shiv Sena was the fear, I would reckon.
So
And that
I'll
was one of the
just-
main
I'll also
reasons.
say
Everyone's
one thing.
talking about the Sena camps. Nobody's talking about BJP, the
No, but
mastermind
that's my
behind the
point.
whole coup.
That, the reason I
To
drew the
manage to pull
parallel
it
between
off.
Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra is because at the end of the day, it hurt the AIADMK the most, right? And my question is that all of this, while you're seeing all of this bickering and muscle flexing, etc., perhaps for the headlines, in all, as far as the masses are concerned, would they have completely lost faith in this party, and does it mean advantage for someone else?
As far as the Shiv Sainiks are concerned, there is one aspect that is being overlooked, and Shiv Sainiks are talking about their future. Does their future lie with Uddhav Thackeray passing on the mantle to Aditya Thackeray, or does the mantle go to Shiv Sainiks who are actually fighting on the streets in Mumbai, in Thane, in other parts of Maharashtra?
Okay.
All the people who've actually fought at the grassroots level to rise. And Eknath Shinde, according to the other faction, symbolizes the Shiv Sainiks moving forward and not the dynasty.
Since the coup took place, there's been a lot of power play. There's been a lot of flux, transfer of MLAs and leaders between one side and the other. Yesterday was the first big opportunity since that coup to actually power project on who the real Dada is, because obviously that kind of thing really washes, especially before, like Preeti said, a crucial bypoll and then the big BMC elections. But who's going to own that bow and arrow symbol is, in my view, going to be that first big bang on the drum over who owns the Shiv Sena identity. Whether someone can ever claim to have Bal Thakaray's legacy remains to be seen. This is very much a story that's unfolding. It's not over yet. And remember, we're happy to bring you, the viewer, into our democratic newsroom every single week. And our final act, how can it not be about film? This time, it's about Adipurush, Ram, Ravan, Sita, and the big war over this new film. Take a look. There's a genre called So Bad It's Good in Bollywood, and we're all very familiar with it. Well, the latest entrant into that hopeful genre is a movie called Adipurush, except it isn't just any other movie. It's actually a retelling, a reimagination of the Ramayana, and it has exploded in India's media and popular imagination because of the depiction of Ravana, Hanuman, and in some quarters also Sita. It's become a big talking point. There's been a lot of sentiments hurt, which is the usual thing these days. Gaurav, starting with you, since you've been doing shows about it, talking about it, being trolled about it, tweeted about it, what do you think?
I think the Hindi film industry, by and large, is very insensitive when it comes to concerns of followers of the Hindu religion. The way they mock people who follow the Hindu religion, it's now been perfected into a fine art. And you see this even in Adipurush, because the depiction of Maryada Purushottam, Sri Ram, is very decent. The depiction of Ravan, as several people say, he looks more like Alauddin Khilji. He looks more like Babur or Taimur. He doesn't look like Ravan according to popular perception.
Let's go back to what Valmiki wrote about Ravan. The only definition in terms of physicality that Valmiki defined Ravan of is a broad chest and angry. This was the depiction of what Valmiki defined of Ravan. Now, we might say, oh, he looks like Alauddin Khilji. We don't know what Ravan looked like. It was a definition.
Exactly.
It was a definition. Okay, so
we don't have a comparison.
Ramanand Sagar's definition of Ramayan was what we grew up on.
Yes.
Does that make it the real McCoy, the real gig? No, it's open to interpretation.
No
His Ravan can be different than your Ravan.
Preeti is absolutely right. There is no comparison yardstick over here, right? Because everyone feels that that's what Ravan is, that's what Ram looks like. She's absolutely right.
Maybe your generation only saw Ramanand Sagar.
Why I raised the issue was only because of the controversy around Islamization of the entire film. So why do you think it's Islamicized? Because he's wearing a surma? Is that why he looks like Khilji? Is that why he looks like a Muslim and that's why it's Islamicized?
I don't understand how your sentiments are getting so hurt by the way Ravan looks in this film. You've only seen a teaser. You've not seen the entire film.
Is it because it's Saif playing it?
The fact is Saif is Muslim. Saif named his son Taimur. Saif is wearing surma. Saif is playing Ravan.
We are
Saif is on board a Pushpak Viman that looks like a Chamgadar.
True.
Really?
In your view, it's eventually the Muslim community. If you say anything about Allah or Prophet Muhammad, then there's outrage. I disagree with that outrage, and I'm saying that to you.
The Hindi film industry for long has followed an agenda, and that agenda, people are saying enough is enough.
Why
We want to show these
suspicious?
Once it's happenstance, twice it's coincidence, third time is enemy action. Here we watched it n number of times, and only with Hindus, not with anyone else.
This outrage was never there in the past. Why has it come in maybe the last few years? Why were Hindu sentiments not hurt as much? And if it was, why was there not outrage? There was no outrage then.
And imagine how long has it been pent up.
In my personal view, when a censor board in a democratic country clears something, that should be enough.
Shiv, exactly.
It's law of the land and not sentiment.
That's my point of view.
That's my point.
That's my point of view is if the fact, all of us can sit here and discuss the film till kingdom come. But yes, where the problem lies is when a deputy chief minister of Uttar Pradesh says this film will be problematic to release in Uttar Pradesh, when the home minister of Madhya Pradesh comes in and says the same, that's where it's problematic, because then they don't respect the institution, which is the censor board.
MLA from Maharashtra.
Pooja, what do you think?
How can a movie of this stature not be expecting at a point like this that it will generate debate and controversy?
Yeah.
Did it want that? That is my point, and I think that's exactly what's happening.
And maybe people who are hurt by it are falling into the director's
We'll go and watch it. We'll go and watch it.
It's happening only too frequently, and it's happening only in one direction, and it is for the film industry.
That's a figment of your imagination.
That may be your perception.
I think democratic right not to go and watch the film.
Don't watch it.
Absolutely.
I hope nobody
Pooja
beats
wants
up
to
people
watch it
who are
out of
going and watching
curiosity. I probably just don't like the VFX. They're so bad. I don't want to watch it.
I'll tell you why I'm slightly on the edge here. The reason is I have just seen a film being put down so badly. The film that I connected with, I was very hopeful about, which was great, was Kashmir Files, and I saw how this full-blown ecosystem attacked it from the one word go. And that's why I realized that what Gaurav is saying is also a reaction similar to that. That if you do it to films like that, we'll also speak up, we'll also find flaws.
Given the trailer, I have no great hopes from it. Just to cool this down a little bit and tell everyone that I tweeted, and the thing that I got most attacked for is by tweeting that I have made better things on Microsoft Paint than the VFX. True. I don't know if I'll be watching it. I don't watch most films. Maybe if Gaurav agrees to go, I'll go with him, or maybe all of us can go together and have a good time watching it. But do let us know what you think. This is the Democratic Newsroom.
are watching India Today.
Touted to be the world's hottest brand, Balenciaga has launched handbags that look just like potato chips packet during the Paris Fashion Week. Balenciaga collaborated with Lay's for its summer 2023 collection. However, the internet seems absolutely confused with the new fashion trend. Some of them are going on to ask, why Balenciaga? Why? Take a look at my report. The latest from Balenciaga is the luxury chips bag. Imagine carrying a packet of empty chips to a black tie event. Now actually do it. Because, well, touted to be the hottest brand in the world thinks it's cool. Instagram is super exploding with these bags, and some of the reactions are downright hilarious. Most of them are asking, why? Why Balenciaga? Why? Fashion can be an acquired taste, but we never knew it hinges on binging chips. Demna Gvasalia even took to social media to announce the bag that is making rounds at the Paris Fashion Week. But this isn't the first time that Balenciaga has created a storm in the fashion world. From garbage-inspired bags priced at a whopping 1.4 lakh rupees, we've seen it all when it comes to the brand Balenciaga. Remember the shoes fashioned from completely destroyed and distressed sneakers? Well, that was something too. And now with the latest collection from Balenciaga, all we have to tell the binge eaters is save that bag of chips. Don't throw it away. You never really know when it's going to become a fashion statement. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today. Here are the top stories that are making headlines around the world. After a massive blast at Crimea Bridge that connects the peninsula to Russian mainland, Putin signs decree to tighten security for Crimea Bridge, move to enhance protection for transport crossing across the Kerch Strait. About 2,000 forest firefighters protested in Madrid to call for better working rights in a year when forest fires destroyed thousands of hectares of forest land and rendered hundreds homeless. A sandstorm swept across Southern California, completely engulfing cars on a road in Calexico and turning the sky orange. There were no serious injuries reported. Supporters of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange formed a human change outside Britain's parliament to demand an end to an attempt by the United States to have him extradited to face criminal charges.
Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange!
A printing house burned in Russian-controlled Ukraine's Donetsk city after it was shelled. Russian media said Ukrainian side was responsible for the attack.
You are watching India Today.
A touchscreen enables users to interact directly with the display monitor. They become a feature of everyday life at supermarket checkouts, ATM machines, on GPS devices, and most commonly with tablets and smartphones. There are two common types of touchscreen technology. One is called resistive. Two transparent sheets are coated with a conducting material and separated by tiny dots called spacers. When the two layers are pressed together, they create an electrical circuit that indicates the point of contact. Uses include cash and ticket machines. The other capacitive touch technology is most commonly used in tablets and smartphones. A layer of insulating material like glass is coated with a fine grid of electrodes thinner than human hair. This is sandwiched between an outer protective glass layer and an LCD screen that displays the images. As the human body is also an electrical conductor, touching the screen with a finger results in a change in the electrostatic field, indicating the point of contact. More recently, smartphone manufacturers have moved towards so-called on-cell and in-cell technologies. On-cell locates the touch technology onto the outer glass, whereas with in-cell, the touch sensors are built into the actual display panel. Both approaches allow devices to be thinner and lighter. New applications for touchscreen technology now include unlocking smartphones using a biometric fingerprint scanner. When a capacitive sensor is activated, it takes a high-resolution snapshot of a fingerprint, which is compared against the information stored inside the phone. If the unique characteristics in the arches, loops, or whorls match the device, it will unlock.
Priti, you refused Karan Johar's lust stories because the role centered around the female orgasm and your mother vetoed it.
So my mother was just it is a short film. It's a 20-minute thing about only a female orgasm. I mean, fine, if you're doing a 20-minute thing in a full-fledged film, it still makes sense. But maybe I don't think you should do it at this point. So that was the whole discussion.
So you've been very open. And to your great credit.
I've been very open till now. I'm very open for everything. Like I have allowed them
to go
to parties.
Kriti ki koi love scene ho,
no problem.
You have no problem with that.
I don't have any problem.
You've only drawn the line at the orgasm. Uske pehle.
Co-presented by Only OLX Autos gives the best price for your car. Co-presented by Macho Hint, fashion bade aaram se.
Very good afternoon and thanks so much for being with us here on India Today. I'm Chaiti Narula getting you all the top stories. Let's start off with the headlines first. Both Shinde and Uddhav camps in a huddle after Election Commission freezes bow and arrow symbol of the Shiv Sena. Prime Minister Modi's mega infrastructure push in pole-bound Gujarat. Prime Minister to unveil projects worth 14,500 crore rupees. Kejriwal's Krishna pitch amidst post of war says, year to finish Kansa's descendants. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin re-elected as DMK President unopposed. Kanimodi elected as Deputy General Secretary of the DMK. Savarkar showdown peaks over Rahul's renewed attack on Savarkar. Rahul claims Savarkar took stipend from the Britishers. RSS hits back, says comments made out of frustration. Asaduddin Owaisi wades into Tipu showdown, claims Tipu irks BJP because he waged 3 wars against the Britishers, says BJP will never be able to erase Tipu's legacy. Incessant rainfall across Delhi NCR brings cities to a standstill. Massive traffic snarls after Delhi received second highest rainfall since 2007 in the last one day. Breaking news coming in, the BJP Neta is in trouble now after firing in air. Booked for celebratory firing at a puja. Booked for spreading fear amongst the locals. Seems like he's drunk on power. BJP MLA fires in the air. Visuals of those on your screens right now. The MLA attempted to create fear before the polls. JDS MLA has now filed a formal complaint against the BJP Neta. A complaint was registered at nearby police station by the JDS worker, who is also by profession a lawyer, named Hanumantarai, against former BJP minister and a present MLA from Deva Durga constituency, K. Shivanagowda Nayaka, for allegedly firing in the air on the occasion of Ayudha Puja, to grip fear amongst the locals in the run-up to the assembly elections next year. So the BJP Neta is now in trouble. He's fired shots in the air and he seems like he's absolutely drunk on power. He's been booked now for celebratory firing at a puja. Quick question arising on what action will be taken against this Neta, who seems to be completely drunk on power. He's a BJP MLA. He's fired gunshots in the air right there. The JDS has filed a formal complaint in a nearby police station. Sagaraj will be joining us in moments from now for more on this story about the action that has been taken and where the questioning really stands. The BJP MLA who has fired shots in the air has been booked for celebratory firing at a puja. He's been booked for spreading fear amongst the locals. Listen in to what really happened there when this MLA tried to create fear. The complaint is now joining us on this broadcast. Sir, if you could just identify yourself and tell us a little more about what really happened there and what prompted you to file this complaint, because we can see very clearly how this particular Neta seems to be drunk on power.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes. I have filed a complaint. Hello?
You have registered a complaint, sir?
Complaint from Durga Police Station, Rajasthan district.
Okay.
Against BJP MLA Shivanagowda Nayak, he is ex-minister.
Go ahead.
Alleging that he has committed an offence by using the pistol, Bunduka. He has committed against the offence against illegally against the public to create in the mind of the people, to discourage the people, to threaten the people before he is near the election.
Yes, sir, could you please identify yourself? Are you from a political party?
I am reporter of the various Janata Dal Jatya Secular Party.
Okay.
Media.
Okay. And also, what do you think prompted this BJP MLA to fire shots in the air in this particular fashion? I mean, in no way are we really encouraging this. This is absolutely brazenly drunk on power of the MLA to fire such shots in the air. What happened before? If you could give us a little bit of a context, since you were there and filed a complaint.
Yes, madam. Because he has used illegally the pistol. He has committed the offence to threaten the people.
Threaten the people about what? To spread fear amongst the locals?
Shortly, he is to face the election in the locality. He is to face the election. Therefore, he used such illegal methods. before facing the election.
So after the complaint...
And he has no authority to use such pistol.
Right. And after your complaint was filed, I believe that this particular BJP MLA, Shivana Gowda, has been booked. What action has the police taken so far?
Police have received my complaint. They have issued me a receipt. On the 76th form they have issued, and I forced them to register the case. But today they have given they are involved in the Bandobast Valmiki Jayanti, Eid Milad. And they have assured me to inquire into the offence, whatever he has committed, and they will then register the case. They have assured me.
I beg your pardon, sir. You said that the complaint has been filed today, and I didn't understand the action that the police has taken. If you could just repeat that.
They have assured to take the action. Hello?
All right, Mr. Hanuman Atharya, hold on right there. Mr. Shivana Gowda, we can see a video where you're firing shots in the air, blank shots in the air. You've been booked now for celebratory firing at a puja. What prompted you to do something of this nature, Mr. Shivana Gowda? Mr. Shivana Gowda, can you hear me? Mr. Shivana Gowda, आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है? Mr. Shivana Gowda, आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है? All right, he's disconnected the line. Our team is trying to re-establish that connection with Shivana Gowda, who's firing these shots in the air. We'll question him. We'll question him in moments from now. Sagai Raj is now joining us. Sagai, what is going on over there? Has he been questioned? What's going on after this complaint was lodged against Shivana Gowda?
See, Hanuman Raya is a JDS worker as well as a practicing advocate in Raichur district, and he has filed a complaint against Shivana Gowda, who is a sitting MLA from Devadurga, alleging that this gentleman has opened fire in the air, and the video was been recorded and circulated on the social media. So he alleged that this particular video was made, this particular shot was fired in the air just because to send across a message to the people ahead of 2023 election, where he can create a fear amongst the voters, saying that you have to come forward and vote for him. So that is what the allegations against the MLA by the complainant, and so far the MLA have not spoken about it. And what you also get to learn to Hanuman Raya is that after this particular incident has happened, he has filed an FIR, and the police have assured him that they will take necessary action against him. And since today is Eid Milad and Valmiki Jayanti in the state of Karnataka, the police are busy with the security for that, and probably once it has been done, they will be taking necessary action against the MLA. So this is what the complainant has to say, and so far we are trying to establish a contact with the MLA. So far he has not reacted on the scene.
All right, Sagai, hold on right there. We're playing that video out for our viewers once again. There's breaking news just coming in with heavy rains continuing to lash. Vanaparthi district, 3 people including a mother and child were washed away with their bike in overflowing stream during crossings the bridge on a rivulet between Madanapur and Atmakur. Rescue operation is going on for missing people at the moment. So 3 people have been washed away. Rescue operation going on at this point. Big breaking news coming in. Tragic incident in Telangana's Vanaparthi with heavy rains continuing to lash Vanaparthi district. 3 people including a mother and child were washed away with their bike in overflowing stream during the crossings at the bridge on the rivulet between Madanapur and Atmakor. Rescue operation going on for the missing people. We'll continue to update you on this story and what really exactly happened there. Apurva Jayachandran joins us. Apurva, what happened there?
Well, what we do know is that 3 people, including a mother and child, were washed away when there were, incessant rains there at Vanaparthi. What we do know is that this tiny rivulet has already, claimed yet another life just less than, last month in the same area, in fact, where a person who was crossing over this low-lying bridge was washed away in the flow of the water due to the incessant rains. We also see from the visuals there, the video yesterday, where you can see that 3 people, including a mother, child, and the relative, were washed away in the fury of the water there in that rivulet that was brought on by the heavy rains there. We also know that immediate searches were underway by the Madanpur SI and the police team there, trying for rescue operations that were currently underway, but unfortunately they were unable to trace back the 3 of them who were washed away. In fact, yesterday, because there had been heavy rains continuously, and that evening came and it was darkness, the rescue operations have resumed earlier this morning as well, but we do know as of moment that there is no sight of the 3, including the mother and child, who were washed away. The mother and child were, in fact, and the other person.
All right, we're getting breaking news coming in, cutting straight across to it. Eknath Shinde has called for a meeting at 2 p.m. at the Varsha Bungalow with his legal team and senior leaders. That's the breaking news. Second meeting at 7 p.m. with Shinde's faction MLAs and MPs at the Varsha Bungalow. Latest coming in, Uddhav and Shinde camps are currently, as you already know, in a huddle. And now the latest breaking news that we're getting is of Shinde calling for a meeting at 2 p.m. at the Varsha Bungalow with his legal team and with senior leaders. The second meeting is at 7 p.m. with Shinde's faction MLAs and MPs in Varsha Bungalow. Both camps in a bit of a huddle right there. So both camps in a huddle. Shinde's called for a meeting at 2 p.m. Second meeting at 7 p.m. as well. The first meeting is called by Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. This will happen at the Varsha Bungalow. He's also told his legal team to be present there. Senior leaders of his party are going to be present there as well. And the second meeting is at 7 p.m. This is going to involve those MLAs in his faction, MPs as well, and this too will happen in the Varsha Bungalow itself. Sharad Pawar has finally broken his silence on the Sena symbol. Rao. Pawar says not surprised by the decision. Sharad Pawar goes on to say, I'm not at all surprised by this decision. I was expecting this to happen. I do not have any proof to say it is being done on purpose, but had a gut feeling that this will happen. However strong the party is, we cannot predict that the same party can go for elections with their same party symbol. So we have to be prepared in all conditions to face the election, unquote. Finally, Sharad Pawar breaking his silence right there, going on to say that he's not surprised for this. Listen into what he said.
निर्णय कोण घेतं याची मला माहिती नाही, पण निर्णय हे गुणवत्तेवरच घेतले जातील याची खात्री हल्ली देता येते. आणि त्यामुळे असं काहीतरी घडेल हे गेले काही दिवस वाटत होतं ते घडलं. म्हणजे घडवण्यात आणलं जातं हे सगळं, तुम्ही तुमचं मत आहे.
नाही, हे सगळं प्री प्लॅनिंग होतं, पण सर अशा पद्धतीने हे सगळं प्री प्लॅनिंग होतं असं म्हणायला
मला माझ्याकडे काही माहिती नाही, पण असं घडेल असं मला माझं मन सांगत होतं.
तुम्ही म्हणतात लोकशाहीच्या दृष्टीने या निर्णयाकडे कसं बघता? ठीक आहे, हे घडेल अशी अपेक्षा होती सत्तरी.
नाही, असं इथं होतं, निवडणुकांना जर जायचं असेल आणि शक्तिशाली एखादी संघटना असेल तर ती जे ठरेल ते चिन्ह शेवटपर्यंत टिकेलच असं सांगता येणार नाही. आणि त्यावेळेस चिन्ह असो अथवा नसो, निवडणुकीला सामोरं जायची तयारी ठेवली पाहिजे.
Ritvik is now joining us for the latest. Ritvik, what's going on right there in Maharashtra? The Sena versus Sena fight has escalated. Both the camps currently in a huddle. And now Sharad Pawar going on to break his silence and saying that I'm just not surprised that this has happened.
ते मला कंटिन्यू फोन करतात.
Can you hear me, Ritvik? Ritvik will be joining us in moments from now for more on this story on Pawar breaking his silence on the Sena symbol drought. Pawar going on to say that he's just not surprised on this decision. It's a big blow to Uddhav's legacy, let's face it. The Election Commission has seized the party symbol. Hours after Uddhav faction submitted its response to the poll body, EC has prohibited the use of party's name and bow and arrow symbol for both the factions. To ensure smooth functioning of the upcoming by-elections, the poll body has released an interim order laying down certain terms and conditions. EC has also asked both the factions to choose a different name. Ritvik is now joining us. Ritvik, we did hear from Sharad Pawar at the moment. He has broken his silence. I'm throwing straight across to you for more. Ritvik, can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead. Ritvik, go ahead.
If you can, the question.
Yes, my question is about Sharad Pawar breaking his silence, and he says it's not coming as a surprise at all. This entire row and the decision of EC has not come in as a surprise at all.
Yes, absolutely. What Sharad Pawar has said, it clearly indicates that he is mentioning that this decision was expected and they were just waiting for this decision to be announced officially. Now the decision has come and the symbol has been frozen. Sharad Pawar is also saying that who's making this decision is yet to be known. That means that he is not believing that Election Commission is making these decisions and someone behind them is doing so. So absolutely Sharad Pawar is trying to say that these decisions are not objective.
Yes, and at the moment there is a huddle that is going on. Ritvik, continue to be with us right there. We're getting the Sena versus Sena fight which is exploding at the moment. Big blow coming into Uddhav's legacy. The Election Commission seizing the party symbol right there. This is a big blow indeed to Uddhav Thackeray's legacy right there. And hours after Uddhav faction also submitted its response to the poll body, EC has prohibited the use of the party's name and the symbol. We're getting some breaking news coming. Breaking news coming in. Shiv Sena is exploring options for new symbols. Trishul, Rising Sun and Mashal are one of these options, say sources. In today's meeting, Shiv Sena leaders are going to be discussing symbols that could be finalized. Also, Sena had used symbols like a coconut tree, railway engine, a sword and shield, mashal, cup and saucer before bow and arrow symbol got registered on 1st of October 1989. A senior leader from Uddhav camp has confirmed that they are getting suggestions on the symbols from across the party and several different experts. So they are considering options out of the free symbols available with the ECI. Remember, names being considered for the party can be Shiv Sena Balasaheb Thackeray, Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray and Shiv Sena Prabodhan Thackeray as per the suggestion from within the party. Ritvik is now joining us. Ritvik, Uddhav Sena is now swinging into action, exploring options for the new symbols. What is the inside khabar you're picking up on this in terms of one, the new symbol of the party, and two, the new name for the Uddhav Sena faction?
So within some time, there will be a meeting at Uddhav Thackeray's private residence Matoshri, and leaders have started to reach Matoshri now. Subhash Desai, one of the senior most leader who is with Shiv Sena, with Balasaheb Thackeray right from the inception of the party, he has just reached, and what a senior leader has confirmed to India Today is that they are getting suggestions over symbols and the name of the party, which are to be considered and submitted to the Election Commission by tomorrow 1 p.m. So now there will be a meeting, and all the options will be explored in today's meeting. And what a senior leader has told us, that before 1st of October 1989, when bow and arrow symbol was registered by the party officially, Shiv Sena, they had contested elections on several different symbols, like there was cup and saucer, there was coconut tree, then there was a mashal, then there were several symbols which were explored, and they had also won crucial elections with those symbols. They had their mayors, they had their MLAs. So this is not a big deal is what they think, and now they will be exploring some of these options. Most importantly, the free symbols which are available with Election Commission, they are vying on options beyond that, because that is what they can do, is being told by a few experts that they don't need to stick to the symbols which are only freely available with Election Commission. So we really have to see as to which options do they select. They have to give 3 options, and what names.
One is the symbol part, the other thing is the name part, which is going to be very interesting no matter which name they end up picking. That's one thing we know, Ritvik. So if you could tell us the 3 names that are making rounds, the big India Today newsbreak is the 3 names that we have picked up from our sources are Shiv Sena Balasaheb Thackeray, Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray being number 2, and Shiv Sena Prabodhan Thackeray, as per the suggestion that is coming in from within the party. Are there any names outside of this? And if you could walk our viewers through the significance of each of these 3 selections that they've come up with.
This fight being the fight of legacy, and the fight of who's taking forward the ideology of Hindutva and Balasaheb Thackeray forward between Uddhav faction and Eknath Shinde faction. So what Uddhav faction is doing, they are trying to stick to the name of Balasaheb Thackeray, which should be attached with the party. So the suggestions which they are getting from across the party, the 3 names which you've just mentioned, these are on the top 3 priority, and they are thinking over it. They are vying options other than that also. But in today's meeting, the final decision will be taken.
Okay, so these are the 3 names that they are considering. Ritvik, thanks for joining us with the details as far as the symbols are concerned, the symbols that are being mulled over, and the party name of the Uddhav Sena faction as well, which is being mulled over at present. No decision, of course, taken yet, but these are the options that we're bringing to you at the moment. It's a mega India Today news break. Our sources have confirmed this to us. Let's now also switch tracks and take a look at the top national stories that are making headlines. BJP President JP Nadda on Saturday claimed that no other party in the country has the ideology, intention and strength to fight the might of the Saffron Party, which is on the rise. Addressing a party workers' meeting after inaugurating the new office of Assam BJP, Nadda asserted that his party is fighting against all the family-led parties in every state. While addressing a rally in poll-bound Gujarat on Saturday, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal said if AAP is voted to power in Gujarat, then his government will bear the entire expense of people who want to visit Ayodhya for Lord Ram's darshan. Kejriwal's statement came against the backdrop of video purportedly showing AAP Minister Rajendra Gautam at an event where hundreds took a pledge to convert to Buddhism while denouncing Hindu deities. Bihar Deputy Chief Minister Tejasvi slammed the BJP after the CBI filed a charge sheet against RJD President Lalu Yadav in the Land for Jobs scam targeting the Saffron clan. Tejasvi said that central agencies are brought forward when BJP loses and cannot sustain itself. Delhi witnessed a fresh spell of rain before the onset of the winter season, taking mercury down a few notches on Saturday. The incessant rainfall led to waterlogging in several parts of the city. Very heavy rainfall might take place in some states, for which an orange alert has been issued in Uttarakhand, UP, Rajasthan, MP and Gujarat. Top leaders of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad have organized a public meeting at Delhi's Sundar Nagari against the killing of a Hindu boy, Manish. Hindu organizations are alleging that Manish was murdered by Muslim youths to take revenge in an older case. For the second time in a row, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister MK Stalin was unanimously elected as the DMK party president at a general council meeting in Chennai. Stalin was elected unopposed to the party's top post for a second consecutive tenure. Furthermore, DMK MP Kanimodi replaced Subbulakshmi Jagadisan as the party's deputy general secretary. Meanwhile, senior leaders, that is Periyasamy, Anthiur Selvaraj, K. Ponmudi and A. Raja were elected as Deputy General Secretaries. Party veterans Durai Murugan and T.R. Balu were elected as General Secretary and the Treasurer of the party, respectively. M.K. Stalin had filed his nomination for the top post in the DMK at the party headquarters in Chennai. Before filing nominations, Stalin sought blessings from his mother and visited the memorial of Karunanidhi and Annadurai. As a part of DMK's 15th organizational polls, party president, general secretary, treasurer were elected at the party's newly constituted general council at various levels across the state. Pramod now joins us live for the latest. Pramod, we were reporting about this earlier as well. So unopposed, you've got MK Stalin back in the chief's chair of the DMK.
It absolutely is, and we were standing outside the event management area. You could see that's the building inside which the DMK's General Council meeting is occurring as we speak. And in the General Body meeting election, it was chosen MK Stalin as the unopposed leader, the president of DMK, just like you mentioned. Senior leaders to still continue as the General Secretary, that is Durai Murugan, and T.R. Balu as the Treasurer. And along with that, Kanimori has been also included, appointed as the Deputy General Secretary. You could see the fourth kind of structure that is in front of you. On one side, you have MK Stalin's picture, and on the other side, that is Udaynidhi Stalin. That is his son's picture, who is also an MLA. And in the meeting, it was A. Raja who was talking about how Stalin is going to be a tall leader. He was actually comparing MK Stalin to Raul Castro, the brother of Fidel Castro, claiming that it was earlier said that after the death of Karunanidhi, there was a huge void and vacuum, but that was filled by MK Stalin. This was the same words that was repeated by Kanimori Karunanidhi, who also turned emotional, claiming that the whole nation was keeping M. Karunanidhi in one position, and right now that is being filled by MK Stalin. And just now, I. Periyasamy, the organization secretary, said that even like there are being words about forming a huge alliance for 2024 and about BJP coming into the state and forming a great alliance. And he was challenging that even if DMK stands alone, DMK will defeat them all. So there are talks about BJP. Kanimori also talked.
All right, leave it at that. Thanks for joining us with those details right there, Pramod. With that, it's a wrap from me, Chaiti Narula, on this bulletin. For further news and updates, don't forget to log on to www.indiatoday.in or go ahead and download our India Today app. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.
You are watching India Today.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
Internet. For humans, life on Earth is unimaginable without it. We spend hours together on cell phones, but have you ever wondered how you catch this high-speed internet? So how does satellite internet work? Why is it useful and criticized? Very high-speed internet everywhere on Earth, including the out-of-coverage areas or blank zones, is the promise of satellite internet. 3 factors are necessary: a ground station connected to the global internet network, a geostationary satellite, and a dish installed at the subscribers pointing towards the satellite. With each search on the internet, the dish sends the requested data to the satellite, which in turn sends it back to a transmitting or receiving station itself connected to the internet. Once the information is obtained, the data will follow the reverse path. The pioneers of satellite internet operate using satellites in geostationary orbit at an altitude of more than 35,000 kilometers. The data travels a long distance, generating a latency time 3 to 5 times greater than that of asymmetric digital subscriber line or ADSL, an older popular form of broadband. The new operators, on the other hand, function in low orbit or LEO around 600 kilometers. The advantage here is to reduce the latency time, which makes it possible to multiply the services in transport, finance, defense, or even video games. It is now possible to have the internet when up in the sky or down at sea. On the other hand, this requires sending many machines in low orbit. Constellations of satellites are being deployed now above our heads by private operators. Starlink, a subsidiary of SpaceX, has already launched thousands of machines. The same for Amazon's Kuiper system. Countries such as China or Britain are developing their own network to preserve their sovereignty. These responses to an explosion of internet needs are attracting criticism. The satellites are more vulnerable than geostationary ones, while astronomers point to the visual pollution caused by the passage of satellites on their observations. NASA fears the proliferation of satellites will raise the risk of collision in space.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
Our parents, the mode of transport that they normally use is train. From home, they use train to go to work, and they use train from work to home. But then the issue is that they no longer use trains as part of their main source of transport. Reason being, the cable theft have been stolen in the train stations, and also reason of load shedding. So that's where we came across the solution that why don't we actually create and build a solar-powered train.
And why trains? We looked also in the automotive space to say many people are interested in electric cars, other types of transport mode. No one was particularly looking at application of solar technology in locomotive.
Hello and welcome to World Today. I'm Geeta Mohan. Winter is coming. In fact, in many parts of the world it has arrived. But there is no let-up to increasing gas and crude prices. To top it, the latest decision of OPEC has put the West, particularly the United States of America, in a tizzy. Put this in perspective. There is the Khashoggi case in the United States of America, which is not going Saudi Arabia's way. And despite heavy engagement and assurances, it seems like Biden's fist bump diplomacy with the Saudis has come to a knot. It seems like the Arab world has done to the US what US did to Ukraine, made promises but hardly kept their word.
The biggest cut in oil production since 2020, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, a group known as OPEC Plus, will limit its collective oil output by 2 million barrels a day. This has created shockwaves across the world. The decision will lead to a sharp rise in global oil prices and take it beyond the $90 benchmark. This is a huge blow for the US, which has not only been trying to prevent the cut in oil output, but has been attempting to increase the supply of oil, calling on some of its closest Arab allies, starting with Saudi Arabia, where Biden visited in July, and met with the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, much to the chagrin of human rights activists, organizations, and even some of his own advisors. But it is the Khashoggi trial in the US that could be one of the reasons for Saudi Arabia to pull the plug.
Mistakes happen all over the world, and the important thing is to deal with them effectively and decisively. The idea that one can impose values on other countries, His Royal Highness made clear, does not work. It has not worked when the US tried to impose values on Afghanistan and Iraq.
Also, the Saudis and all of OPEC worried that the specter of global recession was driving prices down from $120 a barrel over the summer to below $80. Below that level, they fear budgets have to be cut and social stability will be threatened.
If you permit me, Royal Highness, we are not endangering the energy markets. We are providing security, stability to the energy markets.
At a price.
Everything has a price. Energy security has a price as well.
The most pivotal and more important thing for all of us in this table and others who have a huge amount of hydrocarbon resources is to make sure that we have a stable, sustainable, stable market that will not inhibit investment, that will not inhibit growth of demand, and we have to act in a way, in a responsible way, to assure people that we are still remaining a responsible producers, that the world can rely on us.
A miffed America has called this move short-sighted, one which will come as a huge shot in the arm for Russia in its war in Ukraine.
OPEC, we've made clear our views to OPEC members. We have a multiplicity of interests with regard to Saudi Arabia, and I think the President laid those out during his trip, and they include everything from regional relationships, including improving relations between Arab countries and Israel, Yemen, where we're working very closely with Saudi Arabia to try to continue the truce, and a number of other issues, and those were all reflected in the visit. But we are working every single day to make sure, to the best of our ability, that, again, energy supply from wherever is actually meeting demand in order to ensure that energy is on the market and that prices are kept low.
Ahead of midterm elections in the US, the decision by OPEC and its allied oil producers have underscored the challenges that Biden administration faces in managing its domestic, foreign and economic policy at a time when the global economy is at risk of recession. Interestingly, the meeting in Vienna was attended by Russia's Deputy Prime Minister, who is under US sanctions. It came after a concerted but ultimately unsuccessful diplomatic effort by Washington to halt the oil production cut, a signal that Biden's influence over his Gulf allies was far less than he had hoped.
OPEC and OPEC Plus formats are institutes that have repeatedly confirmed their credentials as very responsible organizations which support market stability on the global energy markets. So the decisions they have made are aimed at stabilizing the oil market. We are talking not about solidarity with a particular country, our country or any other. Stable markets are in everybody's interests.
Здесь речь идет не о солидарности с какой-то отдельной страной, не с нашей, ни с какой.
The production cut will reduce global daily production by about only 2%. Its effect on prices may be greater, upward of 15 to 30 cents a gallon at the pump, experts estimated. The big test for the US will be living up to the expectations of its allies who were assured supply if they reduce dependency on Russian oil and gas. With this move, it seems like the winters and the November midterms are going to be cold and harsh.
Staying with the Russia-Ukraine war, it's Elon Musk who now waded in. Musk tweeted Russia-Ukraine peace plan and also got schooled on Twitter. After Musk said Ukraine must cede Crimea for good, Zelensky holds Twitter poll against Musk. Here's a report.
Elon Musk, the richest man on the planet and the eccentric owner of Tesla and SpaceX, has made a controversial proposition to solve the biggest geopolitical crisis of the 21st century. Taking to microblogging site Twitter, Elon Musk offered a simple peace plan to solve Russia-Ukraine conflict. The outspoken billionaire called for a UN-supervised re-election in 4 Ukrainian regions recently annexed by Russia. Musk also proposed that Ukraine cede Crimea for good and assure water supply to the region annexed by Russia in 2014. Musk put out the peace plan in the form of a poll and asked Twitter users to weigh on it. The controversial plan sparked a flurry of outrage from netizens who saw the proposal as a betrayal by Musk. Musk has previously supported Ukraine, deploying his Starlink satellite internet service to help the Ukrainian efforts. The poll also invited sharp reaction from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky responded with a poll of his own, asking Twitter, which Musk do you like more, the one who supports Ukraine or the one who supports Russia? Several NATO leaders criticized Musk's solution to end the Ukraine conflict, including the Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda. Musk has defended his stance, claiming it will be the eventual outcome, but with higher casualty and a looming threat of a nuclear war. Twitter is divided over Musk, wondering whether Musk is serious about a peaceful resolution or is it all just a game for the billionaire. Bureau Report, India Today.
Shifting focus to the other big story, the Korean peninsula has witnessed a sharp increase in tensions after North Korea tested a ballistic missile on 4th of October. The test marked the first time that a missile launched by the DPRK flew over Japan since 15 September 2017, leading to heightened tensions and worries of safety of nationals in Japan as also in the United States of America. Why is Kim Jong-un indulging in provocations? We explain.
North Korea test-fired a ballistic missile on October 4th that flew over Japan. A massive provocation. The USS Ronald Reagan and its striking group of accompanying warships was abruptly redeployed in response to North Korea's IRBM launch over Japan. An urgent meeting of the Security Council was convened to discuss the situation in the Korean peninsula.
The DPRK has enjoyed blanket protection from 2 members of this council. These 2 members have gone out of their way to justify the DPRK's repeated provocations and block every attempt to update the sanctions regime. In short, 2 permanent members of the Security Council have enabled Kim Jong-un.
North Korea, however, says it was in response to South Korea and US warplanes conducting bombing drills the same day. The North condemned the United States for talking to the United Nations Security Council about Pyongyang's so-called countermeasures. They said, "We are watching the United States posing a serious threat to the stability of the situation on the Korean peninsula and in its vicinity by redeploying the aircraft carrier in the waters of Korean peninsula." The situation has worried nations for which DPRK poses grave threat and danger. Sirens have sounded out in central Tokyo for the first time in 5 years. South Korea's military mobilized 4 F-15K fighter jets and dropped a pair of guided bombs on a target off its west coast, in what was described as a demonstration of precision strike capability. The US sent 4 F-16 fighter jets in the drills.
But I also want to make very clear that our commitment to the defense of our allies and partners, Korea and Japan, is ironclad. We believe that North Korea would be much better served by not only refraining from these actions, but actually engaging in dialogue. I think what we're seeing is that if they continue down this road, it will only increase the condemnation, increase the isolation.
The DPRK has carried out 23 tests involving ballistic or cruise missiles this year, a record number. Following a nearly 4-month hiatus, the DPRK resumed conducting ballistic missile tests on 25th September. This was ahead of US Vice President Kamala Harris's scheduled visit to South Korea.
The DPRK has a ballistic missile launch program, apparently, including just yesterday, and are destabilizing the peace and security of this region. Our shared goal, the United States and the Republic of Korea, is a complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
North Korea, a satellite state of China, takes orders from Beijing whether it is to warn US of its growing presence in the Korean Peninsula or the recent increase in its footprint in the Taiwan Strait. The message, very clear from Xi Jinping. Steer clear of the dragon's backyard.
Slipping into short break on the other side, more news from across the world.
Fashion industry is all about new designs, styles and creations. Well, now fashion designers have a new playground for their creations, the metaverse. This digital world where, thanks to an avatar that gives us a virtual twin, we can evolve and act just as we would in the real world. We enter it through wearing a virtual reality headgear or by watching a computer or smartphone screen. The metaverse is a space for experimentation and testing out new products, allowing designers to push the boundaries of their creativity. This has economic advantages too. By testing out their collection in the metaverse, they can then analyze public reaction in it and adapt demand accordingly to avoid surplus production and unsold items in the real world. In other words, an eco-friendly approach. For other designers, their creations will stay digital. On specialized platform brands, commercialize their virtual clothes by attaching to them an NFT or a non-interchangeable unit of data stored on a blockchain that can be sold and traded using cryptocurrency. This kind of marketing saves brands from their worst nightmare: fakes flooding the marketplace. With the second-hand market booming, reselling a pair of virtual shoes associated with an NFT will give the designer royalties on each transaction. Some brands link a virtual fashion item with its counterpart in reality.
Welcome back to World Today. Now, a murder of a Sikh family in California has sent shockwaves across the world. All 4 members of the Sikh family kidnapped in California earlier this week, including an 8-month-old baby girl, were found dead in an orchard on Wednesday. The Merced County Sheriff's Office has released shocking CCTV footage showing how the 4 members were kidnapped at gunpoint from a trucking company in Central California on Monday. The suspect in the video is seen strolling near the Sikh family's business and later talking to one of the family members. The video also shows the kidnapper leading mother and her 8-month-old baby untied out of the building into a truck. The Chief Minister of Punjab has sought intervention of the Ministry of External Affairs for probe into the gruesome murder of this family.
We have no motivation behind it. We just know that they are gone. We've got evidence to indicate that the individuals involved in this destroyed evidence in an attempt to cover their tracks.
Moving forward, we have a shocker after shocker from the United States of America. A 20-year-old Indian origin student was killed in his dorm by his Korean roommate at the Purdue University in Indiana. Varun Manish Chera died of multiple forced traumatic injuries after his Korean roommate brutally stabbed him. His roommate Ji Min Shah, who is in police custody, called 911 around 12:45 a.m. himself to alert the police about Chera's death. Authorities said the incident happened in a room on the 1st floor, but several heard his screams on Wednesday. Police have also asserted that the reason behind the killing is not known yet. Varun's friends and Indian community in Indiana held candlelight vigil seeking justice for the 20-year-old. And here are some other stories in World at a Glance.
The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2022.
This year, the Nobel Peace Prize has been jointly awarded to Belarusian activist Ales Bialyatsky and Ukraine's Center for Civil Liberties and Russian Human Rights Organization Memorial. The prize will be awarded on December 10th on the death anniversary of Alfred Nobel. A day after a deadly attack on a daycare center in Thailand, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha visited the attack site. He paid respect to dozens of children and others who were killed. The attacker, a former police officer, killed at least 38 people, including 24 children, in a mass shooting. But Reuters could not immediately verify the report. A New York Times report claims United States intelligence agencies believe parts of the Ukrainian government had approved a car bomb attack near Moscow in August that killed Daria Dugina, the daughter of prominent Russian nationalist. But nobody else has verified the report. Leaders from 44 countries gathered at the launch of European Political Community to boost security and economic prosperity across the continent. But Russia was not invited. It is the brainchild of French President Emmanuel Macron and is backed by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz.
These past few weeks have lent a new voice to rights of women. Mahsa Amini's death has started a revolution. But it's not just the women in Iran. There are women in the Arab world, in Africa, Afghanistan, Pakistan, the Indian subcontinent who have realized that it is now or never. Women suffer even in the developed world, in East and the Far East. To all those women, I say, stand up now. It is now or never. And I, today, stand up in solidarity with all these women and the fight for freedom. To women, life, freedom. Goodbye and take care.
We, the peoples and the citizens of the EU, demand the unconditional and immediate stop of all the violence against the women and men in Iran. Until Iran is free, our fury will be bigger than the oppressors. Until the women of Iran are free, we are going to stand with you. Jian, Azadi, women, life, freedom.
برای روزهای حساب و بیخوابی برای مرد میهن آبادی برای دختری که آرزو داشت پسر بود برای زن زندگی آزادی برای آزادی
Russia is using Iranian drones to attack Ukraine. Russia hit multiple targets using these Iranian-supplied Shahed-136, or also known as kamikaze drones. Ukrainian forces confirmed that Russia has been using Shahed drones to attack their territories. In a tweet, they shared that they have destroyed 6 Shahed-136 drones. But what are the features of these kamikaze drones? At its core, Shahed-136 is a loitering munition designed to neutralize ground targets at range. It has been in service since 2021. The fuselage is centralized and blends into the wings, creating an elegant shape. The drone is 3.5 meters long with a wingspan of 2.5 meters. It flies at over 185 kilometers per hour and weighs about 200 kgs. The aircraft is launched nearly horizontally at a slight upward angle and is assisted in the initial phase of flight by rocket launch assistance. The entire unit can be mounted on the back of any military or commercial truck, enabling mobile hit-and-run operations that can thwart countermeasures. The Shahed-136 is an evolutionary addition for Iran. It can now rely on its own military industrial capabilities. As per the reports, the drone was used in 2020 during the Yemeni civil war, and recently it was used by Russia against Ukraine.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
You are watching India Today.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for being with us on India Today. I'm Chaiti Narula, getting you all the top stories. Let's start with the headlines first. Both Shinde and Uddhav camps in a huddle after Election Commission freezes bow and arrow symbol of Shiv Sena. Prime Minister Modi's mega infra push in coal-bound Gujarat. Prime Minister to unveil projects worth 14,500 crore rupees. Kejriwal's Krishna pitch amidst poster war says here to finish Kansa's descendants. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin re-elected as DMK President unopposed. Modi elected as Deputy General Secretary of the DMK. Savarkar showdown peaks over Rahul's renewed attack on Savarkar. Rahul claims Savarkar took stipend from Britishers. RSS hits back, says comments made out of frustration. AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi wades into Tipu showdown, claims Tipu irks BJP because he waged 3 wars against the Britishers. Says BJP will never be able to erase Tipu's legacy. Incessant rainfall across Delhi NCR brings the city to a standstill. Massive traffic snarls after Delhi receives second highest rainfall since 2007 in the last one day. Savarkar slugfest. That's the breaking news. BJP versus Uddhav Sena showdown in Mumbai. Juta Maro Andolan on the streets of Mumbai. Protests against Rahul Gandhi in Mumbai. Angry protesters hit the streets. Uddhav posters blackened in protests. Protesters ask, why is Uddhav silent? That's the latest coming in.
The kind of derogatory remarks made by Mr. Rahul Gandhi, that is deplorable, is appalling, and he should apologize. But time and again he has been making such kind of remarks which is not acceptable at all. That's number one. And in the past, when Manish Shankar Iyer also made same kind of remark, that time Balasaheb Thackeray personally, he took his sandals and he slapped Mr. Manish Shankar Iyer, which we can see in this picture. Now our question is, what is the stand of Mr. Uddhav Thackeray on this issue? Why is quiet? Why is not saying anything? Why he is not criticizing Mr. Rahul Gandhi? What's the problem? He abandoned Hindutva. He compromised with ideology of late Balasaheb Thackeray.
All right, so the Savarkar Nataka is going on right there. Dev Kotak will be joining us. All right, he's with us. He's joining us live. Dev, what's going on? This whole Juta Maro protest going on right there. If you could just tell us how the Uddhav Sena really responds to this, how the Congress party is responding to this, because the BJP clearly is up their ante over there.
Well, yes, Shiv Sena has not really come out in support or even gone against. They are yet to make any kind of statements. But as far as this issue is concerned, it all started with Rahul Gandhi during his Bharat Jodo Yatra, making a comment and statement such as that Veer Savarkar was receiving stipend from the British, which really irked and sort of angered members of the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is why yesterday also Devendra Fadnavis, the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister, in his press conference said that Rahul Gandhi has zero idea and knowledge about India's history, and why are the Shiv Sainiks shut and mum over this issue. They should be condemning it, and Uddhav Thackeray should also speak up against this. Why does he not lack the courage to come out and say something in favor? He's like, if he is so much in favor of Hindutva and his party, Hindutva is something that they have continued to preach all along, then this is something they should come out heavily against and condemn the whole action. Which is why the BJP MLA Ram Kadam also in Ghatkopar sort of organized a protest, which was the whole Juta Maro campaign, where several workers from his party were seen slapping.
Okay, hold on right there. Rahul Gandhi has reacted. Let's take a look. Let's take a look first.
In my study of history, in my understanding, the RSS was helping the British. Savarkar used to get a stipend from the British. These are historical facts, and these are not facts that the BJP can hide. If you look at the historical truth, the BJP was nowhere to be found in the freedom struggle, and the BJP is singularly dividing the nation and spreading hatred in this nation.
All right, so this is an old bite of Rahul Gandhi, which is from yesterday, actually, on the back of which this is taking place. He has still to react on this, and our apologies for that. So Rahul Gandhi still has to react to this Juta Maro protest that is going on. This is the bite that we played out. His reaction was basically given yesterday, on the back of which this protest is even taking place. Questions arising on when will Rahul react, when will Uddhav Sena react, and how long does the BJP plan to carry the showdown?
Well, BJP have been just making one simple demand, saying that we want an apology for the kind of insensitive and disrespectful comments and remarks that were made for someone of the stature of Veer Savarkar. He is someone who had spent several years in a jail in Kalapani and the Andamans, and even that time when he would think about India, for somebody like Rahul Gandhi to come and make that sort of a statement is highly disregarding of the kind of contribution that Mr. Savarkar has given to the Indian nation. These are the kind of arguments the Maharashtra Deputy CM also made in his press conference yesterday, and BJP MLA Ram Kadam made a very pertinent point, saying that if they are disrespectful, then they are not going to continue to apologize. But if they are really sorry for the kind of behavior and the manner in which they have acted and resorted to immature comments like these, then Rahul Gandhi must speak up. Even Uddhav Thackeray must really show his anger.
Okay,
and
Dave,
say that he
all right, we'll come back to you for more on this. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi sparked a row by commenting against Veer Savarkar. We played that reaction out for you as well, countering BJP's remarks that Congress was responsible for India's partition. Rahul Gandhi launched a scathing attack on RSS and Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, which is the RSS ideologue, claiming that RSS was helping the Britishers during the freedom movement. Rahul also said that Savarkar used to get stipend from the British government. Claiming that the Bharatiya Janata Party cannot hide these historical facts, Rahul Gandhi said that BJP was nowhere to be found in the freedom struggle of India. Meanwhile, BJP has condemned Mr. Gandhi's statement against Savarkar and the Sangh Parivar, denying the allegations levelled against Savarkar. RSS leader Indresh Kumar has said that the Congress MP remarks reflect his frustration over his failure in politics.
ये तो इतिहास का कोई भी विद्यार्थी बता सकता है कि स्वतंत्रता संग्राम की लड़ाई में भारतीय जनता पार्टी आरएसएस का कहीं दूर तक उनका कोई योगदान नहीं है, और बल्कि उसके विपरीत जो उन्होंने इल्ज़ाम लगाया है कि ये लोग अंग्रेज़ों के एजेंट थे। भारत छोड़ो का जब नारा महात्मा गांधी ने दिया था तो उसका आरएसएस ने विरोध किया था। सरदार पटेल साहब का, उनको कभी नेता महापुरुष बताते हैं, कभी वो नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस की मूर्ति को जाके उसका आवरण करते हैं। तो अगर इनके नेता होते तो इन जगहों पर या उनकी मूर्ति बनती, लेकिन कभी उन्होंने ऐसा कोई काम ही नहीं किया जिसमें उनकी मूर्ति बन सके।
RSS supported British Raj, that is 100% true. But whether he would take money or all these things, it is his information, I have not. We seriously know this Savarkar works for the Britishers. If any new information is with him, I have no idea. But RSS helped the Britishers. RSS never participated in the freedom struggle. And Savarkar was initially participated as a congressman, but later on he changed his opinion.
Akrosh rally over Dalits murder in Delhi. That's the breaking news. BJP MP Parvesh Verma says, and I quote, "Jihadis killed Dalit youth." Fringe provokes in Delhi rally. Anger over Delhi Dalit man's murder. Seer threatens to behead the killers. VHP's brazen warning to Delhi cops. Dalit youth has been stabbed, murdered in Delhi by Alim, Bilal and Faizan last week. Hindu groups now on a warpath on the Dalit murder. 25-year-old stabbed by 3 killers. Manish stabbed for not withdrawing mobile snatching case against the accused and their friends. It's a ghastly crime that is taking place in the capital of the country, Nandnagari area in Delhi. It was captured on camera earlier this week, and that's the latest coming in. The Dalit youth was murdered over this, and there's an Akrosh rally. The fringe is provoking in the Delhi rally and anger. The seer is also threatening to behead killers. Shreya is now joining us. Shreya, it's already wrong what happened, and the murder itself is wrong, but then to threaten killing the people responsible for it, that is not right either. What is the seer trying to do? Is he trying to take the law in his own hands? And where does the Delhi police stand as far as this entire investigation is concerned?
Well, absolutely. You know, it is extremely important to mention that what we saw today in VHP's Akrosh rally was nothing less than hate speech. From seers provoking to take law and order in their hands, to giving calls to take guns in their hand, to beheading people. This was nothing less than a hate speech. But what is absolutely a shocker is that this rally had a permission from the Delhi police, and we also saw ample police personnel on the ground when such messages were given. It is unfortunate of what happened with Manish. Arrests have been made in the case and law will take its own course. But what we saw today in the Ram Leela ground in Dilshad Garden is absolutely unfortunate, because this is again a repeat of what we have seen earlier. Delhi police fails to curb hate speech in the national capital, which is being termed as an Akrosh rally. We saw the seers also take the stage and make such statements, and we also saw BJP MP Parvesh Verma call for a social boycott of a section, given the fact that about the murder of the one Dalit youth Manish. So this is what took place today in Dilshad's Garden, Ram Leela Maidan, and unfortunate because this all happened in the presence of Delhi police personnel.
Leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining us with the very latest details on that. Moving on now, in a big blow to Uddhav's legacy claim, the Election Commission has seized the party symbol. Hours after Uddhav faction submitted the response to the poll body, the EC has prohibited the use of the party's name and bow and arrow symbol for both the factions. EC has also asked both the factions to choose a different name. However, they can have a name linked with the parent party. EC has also directed the two factions to submit names and symbols of their preferences, which are going to be approved by the poll body. Uddhav to meet his leaders at Matoshri to discuss the new party symbols. Sources claim Uddhav Sena is exploring options for new symbols, including Trishul, the rising sun and Mashal. Uddhav faction has also given a list of 3 names and symbols for the upcoming by-election. Shiv Sena Bala Sahib Thackeray is, of course, the #1 choice. The name Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray is the second pick. There's also a third pick. We'll continue updating you.
मला अजिबात आश्चर्य वाटत नाही. हे होणार याची मला खात्री होते. हल्ली निर्णय कोण घेतं याची मला माहिती नाही, पण निर्णय हे गुणवत्तेवरच घेतले जातील याची खात्री हल्ली देता येते. आणि त्यामुळे असं काहीतरी घडेल हे गेले काही दिवस वाटत होतं ते घडलं.
म्हणजे घडवण्यात आणलं जातं हे सगळं.
तुम्ही तुमचं मत आहे.
नाही, हे सगळं प्री प्लॅनिंग होतं. पण सर अशा पद्धतीने हे सगळं प्री प्लॅनिंग होतं असं म्हणायला
माझ्याकडे काही माहिती नाही, पण असं घडेल असं मला माझं मन सांगत होतं.
तुम्ही म्हणतात लोकशाहीच्या दृष्टीने या निर्णयाकडे कसं बघता? ठीक आहे, हे घडेल अशी अपेक्षा होती सत्तरी.
नाही, असं इथनं होतं. निवडणुकांना जर जायचं असेल आणि शक्तिशाली एखादी संघटना असेल तर ती जे ठरेल ते चिन्ह शेवटपर्यंत टिकेलच असं सांगता येणार नाही. पण त्यावेळेस चिन्ह असो अथवा नसो, निवडणुकीला सामोरं जायची तयारी ठेवली पाहिजे.
Actually, Shinde group, it is splinter. It is a splinter group. It is a disruptor. So, it will only encourage those who are disruptor. original political parties who is working for ages, they have been broken by some people for narrow interest. So in that way, this type of decision only will encourage the disruptor. But Election Commission is highest authority to decide.
चुनाव चिन्ह को स्थगित करने के बावजूद भी अंधेरी की बाई इलेक्शन के अंदर महाविकास आघाड़ी के उम्मीदवार का विजय होगा। उद्धव ठाकरे जी के साथ महाराष्ट्र की एनसीपी पूरे समर्थन के साथ है और ये सारी गतिविधियां ये किसके इशारे पे हो रही हैं या किसको फायदा दिलाने के लिए हो रही है, ये महाराष्ट्र की जनता को पूरी तरह से मालूम है।
आश्चर्यजनक निर्णय है, इंटरिम है, फाइनल नहीं है, पर इंटरिम में अंधेरी ईस्ट का जो बाई इलेक्शन है उसको लेकर आया है। पर सरप्राइजिंग इसलिए है, आश्चर्यजनक इसलिए है कि कहीं भी दोनों पक्ष के कैंडिडेट्स नहीं थे, हमारे ही पक्ष के कैंडिडेट थे, तो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट था ही नहीं। हड़बड़ी में ये निर्णय लिया गया है और आप इलेक्शन कमीशन का इतिहास देख लीजिए, पोल सिंबल फ्रीज हो जाता है, पार्टी सिंबल फ्रीज हो जाता है डिस्प्यूट के चलते, पर पार्टी का नाम ही आप फ्रीज कर देंगे, ये पहली बार सुना है मैंने। तो पर हम लोग सब शिव सैनिक इस निर्णय के बाद हम लोग और भी ज़्यादा हमने निर्णय लिया है कि ऐसे लोगों को जो सेंट्रल एजेंसीज का इस्तेमाल कर कर, सेंट्रल पावर का इस्तेमाल कर कर, धनबल का इस्तेमाल कर कर इस तरीके का काम कर रहे हैं, कृत कर रहे हैं, पाप कर रहे हैं।
जिस ढंग से इन्होंने हमारी चुनाव चिन्ह को फ्रीज कर दिया है, वो क्या था? सुनवाई तो होनी चाहिए कि नहीं? बिना सुनवाई, बिना जांच, बिना छानबीन, तो क्या चल रहा है देश में? तो कहां देखे आशा से? एक ही तो बचा है सर्वोच्च न्यायालय।
चुनाव आयोग के ऊपर कोई लोगों को चुनाव आयोग की आशंका निर्माण हो, ऐसा कोई निर्णय चुनाव आयोग नहीं देगा। जिसके साथ शिवसेना और ठाकरे ये नाम इतने जुड़े हैं कि शिवसेना और ठाकरे को अलग करने का प्रयास चुनाव आयोग के सर्वे भी हुआ तो भी लोग महाराष्ट्र के नहीं मानेंगे।
उद्धव ठाकरे जी की शिवसेना ने सब खो दिया। पहले हिंदुत्व, फिर सरकार, उसके बाद में सिंबल, अब नाम भी गया और सबसे महत्व की बात कि महाराष्ट्र की जनता का विश्वास भी उद्धव ठाकरे की शिवसेना ने खो दिया।
Ritvik is now joining us for the latest on this. Ritvik, there's a lot of drama that is going on in Maharashtra, and there's a big decision taken by the Uddhav Sena, I believe, ahead of the upcoming by-polls as well. If you could bring us up to speed. Ritvik, are you able to hear me? All right, we'll re-establish that connection to Ritvik in moments from now. Ritvik will join us in moments from now on this story. All right, Ritvik is back with us. Ritvik, if you can hear me, tell us a little more about the updates coming in, the big decision taken by the Uddhav Sena ahead of the by-polls.
Yes, Sheti, as we can see that reactions from across the parties are pouring in, and now I am outside Uddhav Thackeray's residence, Matosri. The meeting is ongoing at Matosri with all the senior leaders. Uddhav Thackere is discussing and exploring options over which symbol should be finalized. The time is given till tomorrow 1 p.m. and the sources are telling us that by tomorrow Uddhav camp will be submitting 3 options of symbols which primarily are the Trishul, the rising sun, and there will be several other symbols which are considered, because from across the party they are getting suggestions. They are also consulting several experts on the matter. Similarly, there are also series of meetings going on at CM Eknath Shinde's official residence, that is Varsha. He is also consulting senior lawyers, experts, and Deepak Kesarkar, who is spokesperson of Shinde camp, is going to address press conference, and it is speculated that they will be coming out and declaring their options of symbols which they are vouching on. So by tomorrow it will be clear, but series of meetings going on in Mumbai. in both the camps that we can see.
All right, thanks so much for joining us with the very latest details right here. A fresh war of words has erupted between BJP and Congress over Ashok Gehlot meeting businessman Gautam Adani. BJP has come down heavily on the Congress party in Rajasthan, once a critic of Modi for favouring Adani. Gehlot praised him on stage while Adani openly praised Gehlot. BJP hit out at Congress, accusing it of having a dual character, saying that there is a vast difference between the words and actions of a grand old party. Adani Group Chairman Gautam Adani attended the Invest Rajasthan Summit on Friday, where he was seen sharing the stage with Chief Minister Gehlot. Referring to the allegations, Gehlot hit out at BJP, saying that Rajasthan will welcome everyone, be it Mr. Adani or Amit Shah's son Jai Shah, as it seeks investment and employment. Rahul Gandhi backed Gehlot, clarified his stance on the issue, saying that he is not against any corporate and that his opposition is towards monopolization.
ये मुद्दा बनाना बीजेपी के लिए महंगा पड़ेगा, ये उनके उल्टा पड़ेगा। जितना विरोध करेंगे और नौजवान कहेगा मुझे जो सुविधा मिल रही है, रोजगार के अवसर मिल रहे हैं, उनको आप बीच में क्यों संकट पैदा कर रहे हो? अभी ये 3000 लोग आए हैं, क्या 3000 लोग कांग्रेस के लोग हैं? क्या ये लोग इसमें कांग्रेस बीजेपी कोई हो सकता है? तो ऐसी स्थिति में ये लोग क्यों इस प्रकार अड़चन पैदा करना चाहते हैं? मैं उनको कंडेम करता हूँ, इन लोगों को। अंबानी हो, अडानी हो, अमित शाह के लड़के का नाम जैसा है वो हो, हम सबका स्वागत करें यहाँ पर, जो इंडस्ट्री के लोग हैं। हमें तो रोजगार चाहिए, इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए।
Mr. Adani has committed 60,000 crores to Rajasthan. No chief minister can refuse such an offer. In fact, it would not be correct for a chief minister to refuse such an offer. My contention is in the use of political power to help certain chosen businesses. My opposition is to 2 or 3 or 4 large businesses being helped politically to monopolize every single business in this country. The Rajasthan government has not used political power to help Mr. Adani in Rajasthan. The day they do that, I will be standing in opposition.
आटे दाल चावल पर टैक्स कभी अंग्रेजों ने नहीं लगाया, बीजेपी वालों ने लगा दिया। और जो अडानी की, अंबानी की, किसी भी उद्योगपति की बात करते हैं, लीगल वे में यदि कोई इन्वेस्टमेंट सबमिट में आएगा तो वो पैसे लगा सकता है, लेकिन इलीगल वे में यदि कहीं भी काम हुआ है, चाहे अडानी अंबानी किसी ने फायदा। राहुल गांधी ने जो मुद्दे उठाए करप्शन को लेकर और सारे मामलों को लेकर, आज भी वो मुद्दे जिंदा है। कांग्रेस हर उस उद्योगपति का विरोध करती है जो करप्शन में केंद्र सरकार के साथ शामिल है।
कांग्रेस की सियासत यू टर्न की और कथनी और करनी के फर्क की है, और वो समझ में आती है कि किस तरीके से राहुल गांधी सवाल खड़े करते हैं अडानी पर, अंबानी पर, मोदी जी पर और केंद्र की सरकार पर। कभी उनको डबल ए वेरिएंट कहते हैं, लेकिन राजस्थान का दृश्य बिल्कुल विपरीत है। वही अशोक गहलोत जी अडानी के लिए रेड कारपेट बिछाते हैं, क्योंकि अडानी राजस्थान में निवेश लेकर आ रहे हैं, इसलिए आज अडानी उनके लिए इतने महत्वपूर्ण हो गए।
Heavy rains lashes various parts of India, especially Delhi and UP, bringing many cities to a standstill. Let's take a look at the glimpses. With heavy rains continuing to lash Vanaparthi district, Hyderabad, 3 people including a mother and child were washed away with their bike in the overflowing stream during crossing the bridge between Madanapur and Atmakur. Heavy rains in Gorakhpur have crippled several areas of the city. Houses inundated, streets waterlogged. Gorakhpur has now come to a standstill. Locals were seen walking over road dividers to avoid waterlogged roads. Rains lashed Delhi and NCR region in the last 2 days, causing massive traffic snarls. In Delhi, key arterial roads were seen jam-packed with cars due to heavy rains. Slipping to a break. When we return after a massive blast at the Crimea bridge that connects peninsula to Russian mainland, Putin signs decree to tighten security for Crimea bridge.
watching India Today.
The COVID-19 pandemic has forced us to do a rethink on how we lead our lives, to think about what we are doing to our bodies and to our health, and also wellness, because it is time now to go back to the basics. It is time to talk about your food, your sleep habits, your gut health, stress, and much more. And that exactly is what our brand new health show, Health Feast.
Battery swapping was a real game changer and is a real game changer as we go into other markets, large-scale markets.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
You are watching India Today.
Welcome back, and let's take a look at the top stories around the world. After a massive blast at the Crimea bridge that connects peninsula to Russian mainland, Putin signs a decree to tighten security for Crimea bridge, move to enhance protection for transport crossing across the Kerch Strait. About 2,000 forest firefighters protested in Madrid to call for better working rights in a year when forest fires destroyed thousands of hectares of forest land and rendered hundreds homeless. A sandstorm swept across Southern California, completely engulfing cars on a road in Calexico and turning the sky orange. There were no serious injuries reported. Supporters of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange formed a human change outside Britain's parliament to demand an end to an attempt by the United States to have him extradited to face criminal charges.
Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Assange! Free!
A printing house burnt in Russian-controlled Ukraine Donetsk city after it was shelled. Russian media said the Ukrainian side was responsible for this attack. Indian ancestral threads made weaves more than waves in Milan. Here is a special report that showcases how Indian workmanship was showcased internationally. Here's my report.
Week wound up in Italy. Right from Bottega Veneta to Fendi, Alberta Ferretti, Prada, Roberto Cavalli, Versace and many big behemoths showcased their latest collection. And what a star-studded fashion week it was. Right from Kim to Khloe Kardashian, Ashley Graham and Bella Hadid, the fashion regulars were all there. For India though, it was a moment of pride. Designer Vaishali Shadangule presented her collection titled Ancestral Threads. Vaishali has been consistently putting Indian weaves on the global map. Her show at the Paris Haute Couture Week to the latest one in Milan, it's all been about Indian weave. The collection consistently aims to highlight handmade work by our Indian artisans. The stellar workmanship, which is so intricate that it is almost tough to believe it is all indeed handmade. The Pret-a-Porter collection showcased at Milan was wearable and featured an array of silks from West Bengal, Maheshwari cotton, cotton from Karnataka and Kota Doria.
I use cording technique to give shape to these beautiful weaves. And cording technique is also very conscious decision. When I was making cords, I've realized this is zero waste.
Her signature cording method looked innovative. In fact, this collection also reflected deeply on the designer's love for nature. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
It's a wrap from me, Chaiti Narula, on this bulletin. For further news and updates, don't forget to log on to indiatoday.in or download our app.
You are watching India Today.
Students who plan to do that need to brace themselves up ahead of the immigration. Making the ends meet in a foreign land is definitely not a cakewalk. Hong Kong students are bracing themselves with skills that help them sustain on a foreign land.
啲基本嘅技能，起碼譬如話轉個窿啊，用啲電動工具啊，或者喺屋企漏水點樣處理啊，佢都要學咗先咯。
Students are learning menial tasks so as to avoid hefty fees being charged.
過好多即係喺啲唔同 Facebook group 啊，嗰啲人講咧，可能你揾個人嚟整水喉啊，或者整電器，可能你等成2個禮拜先有人嚟，仲要收費好貴嘅。咁即係我會想自己喺呢方面會識，起碼識少少。如果係啲簡單嘅嘢可以自己處理到，咁就更加好咯。
A plumber charges 40 to 80 pounds per hour in the United Kingdom, while $70 to $100 in Australia and $58 to $260 in Canada. A carpenter costs 20 to 40 pounds per hour in the United Kingdom, $50 per hour in Australia, $18.50 to $39 in Canada. The average expense of a student in the United Kingdom is between £350 to £550. Australia is between $1,400 and $2,500 Australian dollars a month, and Canada is $2,600 per month. So it is a win-win situation for them. They do not have to shed their money for a service. Also at the same time, they can earn from their skill.
其實我主要係想移民，俾自己有個工作咁樣咯。咁我就諗既然佢都有義展有門路，咁我就問下佢喺邊度學啊，或者點樣啊嘅資料，咁就上咗嚟報第一個 course。咁 total 我係讀咗4個班。
An average salary of a fresher hairdresser in the United Kingdom is £1,400 per year. There were 25,900 vacancies for hairdressers in Canada in 2019. An average haircut in Australia costs between $50 to $70 for a cut in a standard modern barbershop.
Was Raja Chola a Hindu king?
This question now finds itself in the midst of a raging political storm. And I'm joined on the news track, live and exclusive from London by Amish Tripathi, director of the Nehru Centre in London, author of 9 books, Shiva Trilogy, Ramchandra series. In fact, his latest book, Lanka, just reached my house yesterday, which is when I said I must reach out to Amish and speak to him about this raging controversy about the Chola dynasty and whether or not they are Hindus. Now, here's the context. You've got the likes of national award-winning Tamil director Vetrimaran saying that Raja Cholan wasn't a Hindu king. And the reason he says this is that there was nothing defined as Hinduism or Hindu back in the 10th century AD, which is when the Chola dynasty ruled. He's saying there's Shaivite sect, there's Vaishnavite, but there is nothing called Hinduism or Hindu at the time of the Chola dynasty, and therefore a regional identity is being lost and a religious identity is being forced fit. Amish, what do you make of this raging controversy about whether or not the Chola dynasty would constitute as Hindu kings?
Look, I guess if the point is that the term Hinduism was invented by the British, well, first one can fact check that actually, because the term Hindu emerged from the Persians actually, because in the Persian and the ancient Persian language there is no sound for sir, so they would call those to the east of Sindhu as Hindu. And secondly, if one can quote Shakespeare, because Shakespeare tends to work with certain kinds of people, if one can quote Shakespeare, what's in a name? A rose by any other name still smells as it would. And the term Hinduism may be new. That doesn't mean that the set of philosophies which defined Hinduism did not exist. I'm sure your viewers will be very interested in knowing that even the term Christianity did not emerge, I think, till at least the 2nd, 3rd century, because the term Christianity came from the Greek word for Messiah, Christos, which gave rise to the term Jesus Christ. Even the name Jesus is actually the Hellenization of the Hebrew name Joshua. So if you say that the name Christianity emerged, some 200 years after Jesus Christ, then can you say that Christianity didn't exist? That Saint Peter and Saint Paul weren't Christian? That would not be a logical argument, right? I mean, the Christian religion was called, the Christians were called Nazarenes in those days. So just the fact that the name itself didn't exist does not mean that the body of philosophies did not exist. And lastly, I would like to say, that the Cholas were very proud Shaivites. They built among the greatest temples for Lord Shiva. There are enough records of them having worshipped at Chidambaramji. And I'm a Shaivite, and I would be a little surprised if someone told me that I, as a Shaivite, am not a Hindu. I would honestly be a little surprised.
No, but here's the crux of the argument. The allegation that Thiruvallur is being saffronized, the fact that you've got at that time concepts of Vainavam, Shivam, Samanam, now being put over a Hindu identity, that a regional identity is being lost. The argument is that present them as the greatest South Indian dynasty rather than as a Hindu dynasty, because that's not how a lot of people would like to remember or see the Chola dynasty.
One of the beauties of the Indian way is that we don't say that there is only one truth. And that if you don't follow that one truth, everyone else is false and they will burn in hell for eternity. You can have multiple identities. My family, my father's family is from UP. So technically you can call me a UPite. My mother's family is from MP. Technically you can call me an MPite. I was born in Mumbai. I live in Mumbai. So you can call me a Maharashtrian. I've studied in Tamil Nadu. I read Ponniyin Selvan before it was fashionable to do so. I'm outside of Tamil Nadu because I'd studied in Tamil Nadu, so I'd heard of it at that time, and I read the books in those times. You can call me someone who loves Tamil culture as well, and I can still speak some Tamil, by the way. The beauty of the Indian way is you can have multiple identities. I can be an Indian, I can be a Hindu, I can be a Maharashtrian, I can be a UPite, I can
No,
be
but the
so many
counter
things
to
at the
that
same
is, which again is a controversy raging in the context of the trailer of the film Adipurush, where you've got Saif Ali Khan depicted a certain way as Ravan. People don't like the way Ravan is depicted, they don't like the way Hanuman is depicted. So if religion can indeed be interpreted in different ways, as you're suggesting, then that's a bit of a specious argument, because you've got one serial that people grew up seeing, so they see or imagine Ravan or Hanuman a certain way, and now they're trying to superimpose that vision of Ravan and Hanuman onto Adipurush.
There are multiple interpretations. A. B. Just because a name didn't exist doesn't mean that the body of philosophies which comprise Dharma didn't exist earlier. And C. That in our Indian way, because we have comfort with multiple truths, you can have multiple identities. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I mean, let me give an example of Rajendra Chola. When he conquered land, the Indian subcontinent up to Bengal, he took on the name Gangaikonda. It has been recorded that it was an emotional moment for him. Gangaikonda essentially means the one who brought the waters of the Ganga, back to his land, because he carried pictures of the water of Gangaji to his capital. He wouldn't have done that if it wasn't a cultural and emotional moment for him, right?
No, sure. But this other charge that's being leveled about, a lot of caste dynasties starting at the time of Raja Cholan, we've seen people come out, for example, film director Ranjit alleging that land was forcibly taken away from the Dalits. A lot of caste oppression began during the reign of Raja Cholan. A lot of young people who are watching, wondering whether that's true, not true. What are the historical facts in the way that you see them?
Among the things that one finds is that many of our great emperors were people actually across all castes. So the Marathas weren't, they are from backward caste. Mauryas were, at least if you project modern castes backwards, which I'm not so sure is fair to do, but if you do that backwards, then well, even the Mauryas were not, were backward castes. So there were people of multiple castes, and this has been recorded in various texts, and including in Dr. Ambedkar's, who were the Shudras. So there were rulers across different castes, and some may see Ravan as a hero, but well, Ravan was a Brahmin then. If you want to project caste backwards.
Let's spend a moment on Ravan, the subject of your new book, Lanka. Now, here's the controversy at this moment, which is to do with the manifestation, the physical interpretation of Ravan. How do you see this? This idea that as a Brahmin scholar, should he be portrayed as such? This idea that and how does a filmmaker make his film? Because God alone knows who will stand up and oppose the representation of Ravan and allege that this is someone who looks like Khilji.
Look, I mean, people can have multiple points of view, and if we are a free country, then you must, give the space for respectful discussions across all viewpoints. There is an interpretation that one has seen of Ravan in the Valmiki Ramayana, where in the original Valmiki Ramayana, it was a more nuanced take. The relatively more recent versions of the Ramayana, had a more, black and white approach. I think often what you find is that, stories reflect the age in which they were written. So therefore, my books had a certain, interpretation, and I'm very lucky that it has been well received. And the interpretations differ with age. You see that across, So in the Ramcharitmanas, there was a different interpretation. In the Kritibhashi Ramayana, there was a different interpretation. Interestingly, in many of the Puranas, where Ravan is referred to as Dashanan, there are some different interpretations. And that is something that is part of the Indian way. Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta, that doesn't just apply to, how we see our gods and goddesses, it applies to how we see all characters.
But as a culture and as a society, we seem to have been comfortable with different interpretations for a very long time. It's only now when we're seeing this boycott culture which demands a homogenization of each of these historical characters. That there is one interpretation and that is okay. There are so many Ramayans where Ravan is shown in good light. And therefore now when you see a boycott culture because Ravan looks a certain way or the Pushpak Viman looks a certain way, and that is objected to so much so that filmmakers have to scurry around trying to make justifications for what they did.
Firstly, I should clarify, I'm not so sure there was any version of the Ramayana where Ravan was shown completely in a good light.
Sure.
His faults were of course shown, and there are Ramayans where he was shown in a nuanced light. His strengths were shown, that he was of course extremely talented. He was knowledgeable of the Vedas. He composed the Tanda Stotra, which Shaivites to this day, including me, we chant. And it was a hymn composed by Ravan. But his bad points, or rather his weaknesses, were also shown, that he had no control over his ego, he had no control over his anger. And if there are some things that can be learned from Ravan, it is that how we should control our anger and ego. And as far as different viewpoints are concerned, I'll go back to the point that I made earlier, that India has had a tradition of multiple points of view. You have a right to put your point of view across. Someone has a right to disagree with that point of view, as long as debate takes place in a respectful manner without any violence, as happens in many countries, regrettably internationally. I think that's okay. You can have multiple points.
So let's come back to the Cholan dynasty for a moment, and this question that's being raised about whether the Cholas were the greatest Indian dynasty when you compare with the Mauryas or the other famous Indian rulers. Where in your ranking, where would the Cholan dynasty stand?
So I read multiple points of view, and if you go from that perspective, at least my submission is that the history books that have been taught to us have regrettably a Delhi obsession. And I'm not deriding the importance of Delhi. It's a very important city. But there were other important regions of India as well. And you find that empires which control Delhi have a lot of airtime in our history books. But other empires which were equally great, but if they did not control Delhi, they have been airbrushed out of our history books. And among them, are the Marathas, the Cholas, the Palas, the Hoysalas, Raja Bhoj of, there are so many like this, the Kakadiyas, the Rashtrakutas, the Pujars, so many have been airbrushed out of our history books, which is very unfortunate. Someone like, the Mughal Empire is a massive empire that obviously has to be covered in our history books. But should the Lodhis get more airtime than the Cholas? The Lodhis were glorified zamindars, frankly. And Rajen Chola's empire was nearly as big as Akbar, so probably bigger if you count all his Southeast Asian territories. So wouldn't it be fair to include all other regions of India as well? Secondly, I think that would also give us a deeper understanding of how of Indian history, because we are so Delhi focused. We think of our land as primarily an agrarian land which fought land battles, and invaders came from the northwest because that's where the invaders to Delhi came from. But India was actually among the greatest seafaring nations on earth. We would know that if we covered empires outside of, that weren't centered around Delhi, not just the Mauryas and Guptas, the Marathas, the Cholas, they all had, the Kalingas, they had great seafaring traditions. India was a natural hub for ancient trade routes because we were the hub of the Indian Ocean, and the Indian Ocean is the only ocean on earth where the winds change direction like clockwork every year, which makes seafaring naturally easy in the pre-engine era. We would develop a deeper understanding of our own history if we didn't center everything around Delhi. That it's not just the decolonization that needs to be done on our history. The different regions of India also need fair airtime in our history books. and not just Delhi. Once again, I'm not deriding the importance of Delhi.
Sure,
it is
no,
very
of course.
important. But there are other regions of India that are important as well, and they must be covered. And from that perspective, movies which cover the Marathas, movies which cover the Cholas, movies which cover the Kakadiyas, movies which cover Raja Bhoj, the Palas, these are very important. We need a more balanced view of our history.
You know, there have been so many movies, well-known, expensive movies on the Mughal dynasty, Mughal-e-Azam, Jodha Akbar, Taj Mahal, Humayun, Anarkali. Now we're seeing the likes of, say, Ponniyam Selvam, Raja Rajan Cholan, Ambikapati. How much of this do you think is cultural? How much of this is political? And how much of this is just part of a larger pushback against Islam or against Muslims or against or as part of a larger Hindutva project?
I don't think it's an Islamic thing. I think it is actually about different regions of India. Think about the Adil Shahis. They were an Islamic empire. Have you heard of them at all? Right? Many don't know this. Think about the facts of history. For most of human history, India has always had a city in the top 5 cities in the world. And cities are the hub of innovation and economic enterprise. There was only one time in human history where we did not have a city among the top 5. That was between 1600 to around 1800. When the British came, then again we started getting cities in that top. Prior to 1600, Vijayanagar was the second most populous and the richest city on earth. When Vijayanagar was sacked, guess which city was among the top 5 Indian city, which was the richest? It was Bijapur, right? Which was an Adil Shahi city. Do you read about that in our history books? So I would submit that actually it's not about a Hindu-Muslim thing. It's our establishment historians, regrettably till now, have been obsessed with Delhi and have ignored other parts of India, which has led to a skewed understanding of our history. My submission is let the balance come in, and it's good that this balance is coming in.
It's a good pushback. It's a good pushback against a very Delhi-centric...
Again, I will repeat once again, I'm not anti-Delhi. It is a very important region. But there are other parts of India as well. We must cover them as well. And it will lead to a deeper understanding of what India truly is.
Yeah, sure. And I watched Ponniyam Selvam over the weekend. It was a fascinating watch. And it is true that it sheds light on aspects of our history which you don't spend as much time growing up reading about. And I think at least for the next generation, they will then have the opportunity to consume India's history in all its glory.
I would encourage all of you, all your viewers to read Ponniyam Selvam. It's a series of books. I discovered it because I studied in Tamil Nadu in the 1980s. And so I discovered it out there and I read the translation of it. It is a classic. And how many of us had read of it? I mean, outside of Maharashtra, because I'm in Maharashtra, I respect Chhatrapati Shivaji as one of the greatest Indian emperors. But how is he portrayed in history books outside of Maharashtra? I mean, it's so sad that someone like Chhatrapati Shivaji is referred to as a mountain rat in our history books, when actually he's one of the greatest Indian emperors ever. How many Indians know that in the modern age, the emperor who banned slavery for the first time, or the leader, was not Abraham Lincoln, it was actually Chhatrapati Shivaji. How many of us know this? And should these things be taught in our history books? All I'm asking for is some balance. And if it's not happening in our history books, if movie makers or authors are bringing about this balance, I would suggest it's a good thing.
Yeah, more power to them. Let there be different interpretations and versions and different shades of history that come out. Let's not try and homogenize all of our text as one idea of what, say, a Ravan should look like or Hanuman should look like. Let there be different interpretations as there have been in our culture, in our society, in our history from time immemorial.